Okay, then go ahead. Although he wasn't quite sure, but what if? However, as the sect leader, he really couldn't face it. Then the great elder left. But as soon as he turned around, he realized where to find Chen Junai, the Jishiandao immortal realm, buried in Digang. Madam, what is our mission? Chen Junai followed his wife in the training, looking cautious. The experience itself is actually not that important. It can only be said to create a mood, so it is better to be cautious. Zia Jiao also looked alert. Although she was not worried about their safety, she had to show it to her husband so that he could experience the situation firsthand. Remind, husband, you know the demon clan, right? Of course, Chen Junai nodded. But madam, could it be that our mission here is related to the demons? That's right, Zia Jiao said seriously. Although most of the demons are in the demon realm, some are hiding in the various immortal realms. Recently, the elders of the Chaosian Immortal sect have noticed that demons have descended upon the Emperor Burial Mound. Our mission is to eliminate them. As for who the elder of Chaosian Xianzong is, it must be her, because she was the one who noticed it. It's just right for my husband to gain experience. Chen Jun, I understood that the demons were also a part of their couple's play. Then his expression changed slightly. A powerful demon. Do you know the strength of this demon? I don't know, Zia Jiao said regretfully, but don't worry, husband. Together we can definitely wipe it out. As soon as she finished speaking, she realized something. Husband, I found it. It's over there. How could a tiny demon escape the perception of her, the immortal emperor? Just be beaten by her husband. After that, they went hand in hand to slay the demon. Approaching quickly, they saw several demons eating barbecue. He ate it with gusto. Zia Jiao reminded, they are just some demons from the true fairyland, not much different from us. Of course, Chen Junai knew that they were some demons from the true immortal realm. If they were in the ancient continent, they would definitely be a terrifying existence. But here, he can only be considered a minion. Madam, let's take them by surprise. I'll attack head-on and you'll cut off their retreat. Husband, that's exactly what I meant. After saying that, Zia Jiao began to act. Of course, Chen Junai did not drag his feet at all, and looked like he was determined to perform well in front of his wife. Just kill him directly. How dare the demons invade our fairyland? The two immortal emperors, a couple, had reached the point of bullying the demons in the true immortal realm. Demons, Chapter 30, kill a few demons to cheer up the couple. Several demons were frightened by this sudden change, and the chicken legs in their hands no longer tasted good. Oh no, we've been discovered. They hid in this Jishiandao immortal realm in order to look for resources. After all, their demon abyss was not as big as the 33 immortal realms, and their resources were limited, so they could only seek wealth and honor in danger. Unexpectedly, it was discovered. Then, in the blink of an eye, a man appeared. Since he's been discovered, we can't let him leave. Just a mere human from the true fairyland. They all looked ferocious and murderous. But after a closer look, they seemed to have thought of something. Their expressions became terrified, trembling, and almost kneeling down. You are Yang. You bold demons, you invade my fairyland and seek death. However, before they could finish their words, a woman rushed out from another direction. It was Zia Jiao who had surrounded her. Killed with one sword. Not good. Several demons were completely panicked. There were actually other humans. Without saying a word, they rushed towards Zia Jiao. How the hell did the devil know that the immortal emperor of eternal night was actually here? And he still came to bully these little demons from the true fairyland, and even brought a woman with him. In short, it couldn't be false. In order to persuade the eternal night immortal emperor to rebel, the demon clan immortal emperor and the demon clan venerable had specifically instructed them to do so. They had also seen the eternal night immortal emperor's portrait long ago. Seeing this, Zia Jiao was stunned for a moment. These demons didn't attack her husband, but instead came to attack her. Did they think she was a woman and could be easily bullied? You are simply asking for death. But then he thought, this won't work. It would be reasonable for her to be injured by a few demons. She would have to reveal her flaws and let her husband heal her. But she found that the demons that were coming towards her turned into ashes at this moment. Madam, after Chen Junai made his move, he hurriedly ran to Zia Jiao. But did these demons seem to recognize him just now? Fortunately, they killed him quickly. Otherwise, I'm afraid my wife wouldn't date him. Zia Jiao didn't achieve her goal, but she was quite surprised in her heart. Husband, you are so powerful. From the bottom of my heart, after all, my husband is also in the real fairyland, but he can actually kill several real fairyland demons in seconds. Chen Jun, I said worriedly, Madam, I won't tease you at this time, but are you hurt? After saying that, he immediately picked up his wife by the waist as if he was going to examine her. Really? She had just wanted to show him her injuries, but luckily he was quick enough. They avoided the need to heal her. Zia Jia was completely unaware that her little thoughts had been noticed by Chen Junai. She simply pointed to her chest and said, "Husband, I'm hurt here." Ma'am, let me check you out." "No, I mean I was scared and my heart is beating fast," Zia Jiao said shyly. It would not be appropriate for her husband to examine her here at this time. Seeing his wife being frightened, Chen Junai showed a trace of confusion, so he had to comfort her. "Madam, it seems those demons think you are easy to bully, so they surrounded and killed you. But as long as your husband is here, you don't have to be afraid." Zia Jiao smiled sweetly. "Fortunately, my husband, you wiped it out in time." "But what did they just say? Are you Yang what?" She seemed to have heard this sentence, which made her a little confused. Chen Junai shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe they wanted to tell me that I would never forget them. Fortunately, my wife showed up in time, otherwise I would have been the one surrounded." Zia Jiao didn't think much about it. She just spat lightly. "Bad guy. What does it mean to be lucky enough to show up in time and be surrounded?" Chen Junai smiled cheekily. "Bad guys are bad guys, but I, a bad guy, will never let you get hurt, madam." Although Zia Jiao knew that this was almost impossible. After all, there was a huge gap in the cultivation level between her and her husband. She still felt warm in her heart. It's just a pity that her husband can't heal her injuries. And it was obvious that her husband definitely didn't want her to get hurt, otherwise he would be heartbroken. Unless she hurt herself on her own initiative. "Husband, I know." Then she held Chen Junai's face and kissed his lips. "Lady, this is a reward for my husband. Besides, didn't my husband ask me to make it up to you? This is compensation." "Then, ma'am, I like this reward and this compensation. But my husband, once this mission is completed, I will be able to obtain a valuable resource, which I will then share with you." "Madam is so nice." "Of course, I don't really need it anyway." "So, ma'am, where are we going next?" Husband, there's another sect mission. It's about a fairy beast that the Chaosian fairy sect has been tracking. This fairy beast is also guarding some fairy herbs which should be ripe by now." Zia Jiao felt that the difficulty of the task needed to be increased for her husband. Otherwise, the effect would not be very obvious. "Okay, then let's go get it." Chen Junai thought it would be better to let his wife do as she pleased. However, he had to be cautious about the possibility that the demons knew his identity. After all, the demons had a deep grudge against him, and he couldn't let his wife get involved. Then the couple went to bully the weak. A few more days passed. Emperor Huang's palace. Ever since he was turned down by the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor last time, Dai Jun no longer wanted to care about the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor's affairs. After all, it was not just their Huangdi palace that suffered the loss, so he felt balanced in his heart. Therefore, all attention was focused on dealing with the matter between Jidao Imperial Palace and Zia Jiao. During this period of time, they mobilized tremendous power, even using all kinds of means to gain insight, and used various personal connections to secretly look for Zia Jiao's weaknesses to prevent any further complications. At this time, Bai Yuan came back. "Palace Master," his expression was still not good. Emperor Jun said, "Are there any results?" Bai Yuan gritted his teeth unwillingly. "Palace Master, I have exhausted all the methods I can use, but I still cannot find the immortals behind Zia Jiao. The clues are cut off, as if she suddenly appeared in the Jidao Imperial Palace. How could Zia Jiao be made to compromise without any leverage? A girl like Zia Jiao was bound to be arrogant and proud, and it would be difficult to make her yield without sufficient leverage." Dai Jun said in a deep voice, "It seems this plan won't work. If it really doesn't work, I will go meet Zia Jiao in person." After all, Bai Yuan's cultivation level is low, so he can't track Zia Jiao to find her weakness. Otherwise, he will be easily discovered, and in turn, the Jidao Imperial Palace will get hold of their handle, which will not be worth it. As the palace master, he was absolutely sure that he would not be noticed by Leng Jushuang and Zia Jiao, and then get close to Zia Jiao, which would make it easier to find her weakness. However, as the dignified lord of the desolate Emperor Palace, he did not want to do this unless he had no other choice. It would be disgraceful and would bring shame to his status. Hearing this, Bai Yuan's eyes lit up. "Thank you, Palace Master." The Palace Master did this for him, and if the Palace Master could get close to Zia Jiao, it would obviously be easier for him to detect Zia Jiao's weaknesses. Then he changed the subject. "But Palace Master, this trip has not been without gain. Tell me about it." "Zia Jiao has a very close friend, a junior sister, I guess, named Su Kingsu. Although I haven't found out Zia Jiao's background, the immortal clan behind Su Kingsu is also a large family, the Su family. Chapter 31, can't find Chen Junai at all. Su family, Dai Jun was a little reluctant. It didn't matter how powerful the Su family was. They were definitely not as powerful as the desolate Emperor Palace. He also understood Bai Yuan's intentions. It was just that using the Su family to force Zia Jiao to bow down seemed a bit over the top and demeaning. Bai Yuan nodded. Guxio immortal realm, the Su family, they're also a pretty good immortal clan. Palace Master, if we use the Su family as a target, Zia Jiao will definitely be concerned about Su Kingsu. Maybe we can take advantage of that when the time comes. For the exquisite immortal body, he was determined to do it. Especially after meeting the eternal night immortal emperor, his determination became even stronger. Emperor Jun pondered for a moment. Okay, go ahead and do it. Just remember not to be too ostentatious. Bai Yuan understood what Dai Jun meant. Don't worry, Palace Master. It's very easy to control the Su family. It only takes a few days. This was an easy matter for him, and as long as he could secretly remind the Su family, he believed that the Su family would behave themselves. By then, it would be of some use to restrain Zia Jiao. As long as it can be done, then everything will be a piece of cake. It will be very soon. Afterwards, with the Palace Master's consent, Bai Yuan went to deal with the Su family. The Palace Master, Dai Jun, took rare action personally in order to train Bai Yuan and for the future of the Huangdi Palace. He separated a part of his will and turned it into a clone, leaving the palace of the desolate emperor. Fusion Fairyland, Fusion Holy Land. Holy Lord, if there is friction between the Huang Emperor Palace and the Jidao Emperor Palace, do we really have to take action? An elder's face was a little solemn. This was not a joke. The friction among the top immortal sects is enough to destroy the world. Although their Fusion Holy Land had some conflicts with the Jidao Imperial Palace in the past, their current strength is not as good as that of the Jidao Imperial Palace and the desolate Emperor Palace. Saint Lord Zhan Qingshan said, "Of course we have to take action, not to mention that the Jidao Imperial Palace has cultivated a young immortal emperor like Zia Jiao, which is also not a good thing for our Fusion Holy Land. Of course, how we proceed is up to us. He wasn't a fool, so how could he really risk his life?" They were also wary of the Jidao Imperial Palace. After all, they already had Zia Jiao, and now that the desolate Emperor Palace had suddenly appeared and intervened, they were naturally happy to see it. For now, we can just wait and see what happens. That's good, the elder pondered for a moment. But I don't know why the Jidao Imperial Palace is trying to make things difficult for the desolate Imperial Palace. Zhan Qingshan had heard something. It's because the Emperor's son Bai Yuan seems to have a conflict with Zia Jiao of the Jidao Imperial Palace. The Jidao Imperial Palace has come to our door. But it's clear that the desolate Emperor Palace has other plans. I'm afraid they've set their sights on Zia Jiao. That's why they're discussing this matter with me, the Fusion Holy Land. This is great, the elder was a little surprised. With Zia Jiao gone from the Jidao Imperial Palace, it's a great thing for our Fusion Holy Land. Of course, Zhan Qingshan could not deny it. But it won't be easy for the desolate Emperor Palace to use us to put pressure on the extreme Dao Imperial Palace. Right now, we can't have any ideas about the Jidao Imperial Palace, so we can only stand by and watch. At the critical moment, we can just do something to disrupt the balance. If it weren't for the desolate Emperor Palace incident, they, the Fusion Holy Land, wouldn't have wanted to show up. After all, the Jidao Imperial Palace had a hidden trick up their sleeve, and Zia Jiao's appearance meant that they, the Fusion Holy Land, had no choice but to admit defeat and were no match for the Jidao Imperial Palace. Now that the palace of the Wilderness Emperor has appeared, it is equivalent to helping them deal with the Jidao Emperor Palace. It is mutually beneficial. It is better to seize this opportunity to deal with one or two. The Holy Lord is right. On the other side, the Qingshuan Taoist sect is searching for Chen Junai throughout the immortal realm. After searching for a while and trying every possible means, I was exhausted, but there was still no trace of Chen Junai. Even a powerful immortal level being like a sect elder couldn't detect anything. It was as if it disappeared out of thin air. What on earth has Chen Junai been busy with? Could it be that he's truly lost interest in everything and has chosen to retreat from the world? Since the last time he showed up, there has been no trace of him. If he hadn't shown up on his own initiative, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to detect him at all. Many powerful people had bitter expressions on their faces, as it was so difficult to find people. No matter what, we must find Chen Junai and explain everything clearly. Go. a group of strong men started looking for people again. I'll go see Mo Kingru, maybe she has some solution. The great elder didn't want to ask Mo Kingru for help. After all, Mo Kingru was not convinced either, but there was no better solution at the moment. I can only run to find Mo Kingru. Soon, he reached a mountain and met Mo Kingru. Seeing this, Mo Kingru said directly, "Grand Elder, you don't have to tell me." She naturally knew what the sect's top leaders had meant in recent days. But it was none of her business. The great elder was stunned for a moment, then said seriously, "Kingru, this matter is of no small importance. The sect needs to clarify things with Chen Junai about what happened back then. When Chen Junai first entered Kingshuan Dao sect, it was you, senior sister, who was guiding him through training. I believe you must have some way to meet Chen Junai. Grand Elder, there is no need to say more," Mo Kingru said casually. "The past was the past, and the present is the present. My junior brother has already become the strongest at the peak of his powers. How can I, a mere senior sister, ever see him? I hope the great elder will not embarrass this disciple. With her attitude like this, what can the great elder do to her?" The great elder frowned. "Be patient. Kingru, don't you want Chen Junai to know everything? Grand Elder, there is no need to play the emotional card. If I want to know, I will naturally show up." Mo Kingru's heart was as calm as water. Junior brother should have found his wife by now, right? Then we should not disturb them as a couple. Seeing that this was not going to work, the great elder could only say, "Then why did Chen Junai do that before? I believe you must know. As long as they know Chen Junai's purpose, they may be able to follow the clues and find Chen Junai." "I don't know." Mo Kingru was not in a hurry. "Junior brother just came to see me, his senior sister, and didn't say much." Mo Kingru, the great elder was a little angry. "It was also due to the overall situation. We had no choice. The sect master also had his own difficulties." "What does it have to do with me? What does it have to do with my junior brother?" Mo Kingru asked back. "Since you have made a choice, you must bear the consequences. The great elder must understand this principle. If that's the case, why bother you, junior brother?" "You," the great elder took a deep breath. "Mo Kingru must be getting too arrogant. Remember, you are also a disciple of Kingshuan Dao sect. HMPH, wasn't it the same for my junior brother back then? What about now?" Mo Kingru snorted coldly. The great elder was speechless. He could only leave cursing in his heart, and had no way to deal with Mo Kingru. In an ancient fairy forest, the couple is causing trouble here again. "Husband, it smells so good." Zia Jia was eating barbecue. There was no way, the fairy beast didn't seem to be at home. In order to let the husband beat it up, they could only wait for the fairy beast to run back before snatching the fairy grass. So they waited here for several days, and when they had nothing to do, they had a picnic and caught some other fairy beasts to liven up the atmosphere. Chen Junai smiled and said, "Madam, if you like it, eat more." Then he looked doubtfully at the magical herb of extraordinary quality growing in the distance. "It's right in front of me, but my wife won't take it." Chapter 32, Madam, act like a coquettish person. Chen Junai suspected that his wife wanted him to fight the immortal beast. "Well, husband, you eat too." While Chen Junai was doubtful, Zia Jiao handed him a piece of barbecue. "Open your mouth, Tilda, I'll feed you." Seeing this, Chen Junai decisively took a bite and said with a smile, "Madam, you have changed a lot. You have actually gradually come to like this thing." "That's not true," Zia Jiao blinked. "For Yuaner and Hayar's sake, I have to like them too. Besides, we have to set an example of loving affection for them in the future. Since we want to set an example of loving affection, ma'am, I'll feed you too." Chen Junai decisively treated the fairy beast that they had barbecued as part of their play. "After all, my wife was not like this before. Now she exudes infinite maternal charm." Zia Jiao cooperated very well and took a bite, then revealed a satisfied smile. "My husband still feeds me more delicious." "That's right, I added loving seasonings into the barbecue I feed my husband," Chen Junai said arrogantly. "Love seasoning?" Zia Jiao almost didn't react. Tilda, I tasted it." Chen Junai smiled and embraced Zia Jiao in his arms. Suddenly he thought, "Madam, how about you act coquettishly with me for a while?" "Acting like a spoiled child?" Zia Jiao looked puzzled. She wondered what this hobby of her husband was. "That's right," Chen Junai recalled. "Thinking back to the beginning, we weren't as harmonious as we are now. Back then, it was hard to get close to you. Now, is it too much for your husband to ask you to act a little bit coquettishly?" "Not excessive. Obviously, it was excessive. She was the immortal emperor." Zia Jiao thought to herself. But at first, they really couldn't get along like this, let alone feed each other. It's shocking just to think about it. It was only after they had Yuaner and Hayar that things gradually got better. Madam, please act coquettishly, Chen Junai urged. Zia Jiao, however, became a little embarrassed. Husband, how can I act like a spoiled child just like that? Isn't that embarrassing? Besides, I'm a mother of 2 children. It's not appropriate. My husband's habit is too much. Of course, Chen Junai wouldn't give up. It's precisely because you're the mother of 2 children that you have to act like a spoiled child with me. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to act like a spoiled child with me when you meet Yuaner and Hayar in the future. No, no. Zia Jiao shook her head repeatedly. Although this was the truth, it was still a bit difficult for her as an immortal emperor, and she couldn't convince herself in her heart. Madam, how about I demonstrate it to you? Chen Junai suddenly suggested. Zia Jiao couldn't bear to imagine the beautiful scene and quickly stopped him. Husband, don't tilde. Okay, Chen Junai immediately showed a satisfied expression. What do you want, ma'am? Only then did Zia Jiao realize that she had been tricked. He stared at the barbecue in Chen Junai's hand and said, I want that. Then he took a vicious bite to save himself. Chen Junai was very happy, and then he got down to business. Madam, do you want to see me fight that fairy beast? Otherwise, the 100,000-year-old thunder ancient plant would be easy to obtain. After her thoughts were exposed, Zia Jiao stopped pretending and said, That's right, I just want to see my husband fight with that thunder beast. Just tell me, husband, whether you want me to see it or not. Chen Junai naturally felt no pressure at all. Then I can understand that my wife is just being coquettish with me again. Zia Jiao's pretty face turned red. In order to cultivate her husband, she can act coquettishly. It doesn't matter even if her husband thinks she is unreasonable. Anyway, nothing will happen as long as she is there. Well, you can say that, husband. As soon as she finished speaking, she sensed a thunderous aura approaching. Husband, the thunder dragon has appeared. It wasn't easy, but at least they got what they wanted. Chen Junai nodded. Madam, you can just watch. Then go and fight the thunder dragon. Although Zia Jiao was training her husband, she didn't want him to be careless, so she warned him. Be careful, my husband. This thunder dragon is already at the 9th level of the true immortal realm, and this ancient thunder plant is what it's using to attack its earthly immortal level. It's definitely going to anger it. Don't worry, madam. Besides, I feel at ease knowing you're here. After saying that, Chen Junai cooperated very well and killed the enemy, performing a show for his madam. Zia Jiao thought about it for a moment and realized that it was true. With her around, what problems could there be for her husband? She acted stealthily, and her husband couldn't detect it. My dear husband, I will assist you. I mainly want to see my husband's true fighting ability. After all, those demons were killed instantly by him. It seems that the effect of her exquisite immortal body on my husband is still very powerful. Soon, a huge thunder dragon came rolling in. The huge body rolled in the clouds, breathing in and out, and wherever it went, there were dark clouds, lightning, and thunder. After noticing Chen Junai and Zia Jiao, he immediately became furious. Humans, don't even think about getting your hands on that ancient thunder tree. The thunder ancient plant was the immortal herb it had personally guarded and cultivated. It had waited countless years for it to achieve its goal of breaking through to the earthly immortal realm. Unexpectedly, in addition to those humans before, there are other humans who have set their eyes on its magic herb. And after it had finally driven those guys away, its home was almost robbed. How could it tolerate this? Without saying a word, he roared past. Chen Junai and the thunder dragon faced each other from a distance. The greatest treasure of heaven and earth belongs to the capable. You can't stop me. After saying that, he slapped him roughly. Considering that he was performing for his wife, he had to restrain himself a little. Boom! Chen Junai was directly knocked back by the thunder dragon and hurriedly protected his body to block the tremendous power of thunder. Seeing this, the thunder dragon sneered repeatedly. A mere ant at the 2nd level of true immortal dares to have ideas about the thunder ancient tree. You are simply courting death. The huge tail slapped directly towards Chen Junai, with endless thunder flashing on it. Chen Junai's face changed slightly. It was reasonable that he couldn't beat the dragon, so it was reasonable for him to let his wife treat and massage him when he was injured. That was also reasonable, seeing that he could no longer hold on and was about to be hit and injured. At this time, Zia Jiao came to help directly. Husband, be careful. Of course, she wouldn't allow her husband to get hurt. As long as she was around, there would be no such thing as healing. Clang! With one sword strike, Chen Junai was taken away at the same time. The couple were both defeated by the thunder dragon and were blown away. They looked like they were both beaten, still in shock. Madam, I am no match for him. Fortunately, you helped me in time, otherwise I would be in great danger, Chen Junai said guiltily. It seems that there is no way for Madam to heal his wounds, but Madam is still tough. Being beaten together with him is enough for this thunder dragon to brag about it for tens of thousands of years. Zia Jiao didn't care. It's okay, my husband. It's easy for us to leave if we can't beat him. That being said, how could I possibly not win, humph? The next moment, the huge body of the thunder dragon was twisted into a ball, and it looked extremely painful. Wait a minute, I used too much force and got a cramp. A tendon. Chapter 33, the couple quarreled with a group of young monks. The thunder dragon was very puzzled. It had just gotten cramps unexpectedly while dealing with two humans who were only in the true fairyland. It's so weird. The only explanation is that it was overdoing it. Cramps, Zia Jia was speechless. She hadn't even secretly helped her husband deal with the thunder dragon yet. So why did the thunder dragon get cramps? Chen Junai, who was beside her, found the right moment and said, "Madam, this is a good opportunity." Of course, he secretly attacked the thunder dragon to cheer up the couple. After saying that, he went straight to kill him. Seeing this, Zia Jiao didn't think much of it. Maybe the thunder dragon had just suffered an accidental cramp. Anyway, as long as her husband was happy, that was all that mattered. For example, right now, could she see how much her husband wanted to show off in front of her? The child's father was also very cute. He needed this opportunity. The thunder dragon became even more furious when he saw Chen Junai attacking it while it was cramping. "Even so, human, you are no match for me." The power of thunder in his body surged wildly. Unfortunately, it's just a lot of noise but no action. It's suffering now, so how can it exert its full strength? So much so that the speed has slowed down a lot. Pup! Chen Junai took the opportunity to slap the thunder dragon on the head. Immediately afterwards, the thunder dragon fell to the ground, causing an earthquake. The thunder dragon naturally refused to accept this and roared, "You are in the same group with them. This is definitely a trick used by humans to lure the dragon away from the grass." Chen Junai clapped his hands casually. You're mistaken. We have nothing to do with the they you're talking about." Then he slapped the thunder dragon again, knocking it unconscious. Since the couple was flirting, there was no need to kill them at will. Otherwise, if it got out that the immortal emperor had teamed up to bully the immortal beasts of the true immortal level, it would become a black history. The thunder dragon was crawling on the ground, sticking out its tongue and still twitching all over, just like it was having a cramp. Even if it was tricked and beaten up, it didn't know who it was facing. "Husband, we got it. Our mission is accomplished." Zia Jiao glanced at the thunder dragon lying in a heap on the ground and then ignored it. Chen Junai looked over and saw that his wife was already holding the ancient thunder tree in her hand. He smiled faintly. "Madam, I am glad that I have accomplished my mission without any danger." "Husband, I knew you could do it." Zia Jiao encouraged her husband frantically. Being with her, the husband really needs to build up his confidence, especially in the future. Chen Junai was speechless. "Madam, we are just lucky, otherwise we would have no choice but to retreat." Zia Jiao didn't quite agree, because even if they were unlucky, it would be impossible to retreat with her around. "Husband, it seems that before this, someone else had set their sights on this ancient thunder tree." "Madam is right." As soon as Chen Junai finished speaking, he sensed several auras approaching. They seemed to have arrived. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, he wanted to take his wife away directly and avoid it. But he thought that he was just a true immortal, so he couldn't do it. Zia Jiao then saw several figures. In order to avoid unnecessary friction, she wanted to take her husband away directly, but unfortunately she couldn't let her husband feel inferior. Otherwise, it would be too late. "It's the ancient thundering plant." A young man arrived and exclaimed when he saw the ancient thundering plant in Zia Jiao's hand. When they looked again, the thunder dragon that had been chasing them was already twitching on the ground. Another cultivator said unwillingly, "We've been fighting the thunder dragon for a long time, and they've beaten us to the punch. They came here to launch a surprise attack, but the ancient laming tree had already been taken away by someone else. How could they feel happy? This ancient thunder plant is a 100,000-year-old immortal herb, priceless, enough to allow a peak true immortal cultivator the opportunity to enter the earth immortal realm." Several monks were heartbroken and suffered beatings for several days in vain. Then one of them said to Chen Junai and the others, "You two are so lucky. You can reap the benefits. You stole our ancient thunder tree." His tone was sour and unhappy, and he was arrogant, obviously full of youthful vigor. "Yours," Chen Junai began to reason. "So you're not convinced and want to steal our ancient thunder tree. Since I can't avoid it, I can only take my wife and fight these little monks." "It's interesting, really interesting." Jia wanted to pull her husband along, but it was just a thundering ancient tree. There was no need, really no need. Upon hearing this, the monks became even more dissatisfied. How can you say we stole it? We were the ones who set our sights on the ancient thunder tree first. We spent a long time fighting the thunder dragon. Now we've just drained a lot of its power and you're just taking advantage. They could sense that Chen Jana and Jia were only at the true immortal realm, not as good as them, let alone against the thunder dragon. That was the only explanation. That's wrong, Chen Jana said seriously. People should be reasonable. Even if you met it first, if you don't have the ability to get it, then it's just fate. Besides, we're lucky, and that's part of our strength. So how can you say the thunder ancient plant is yours? Husband, Jia felt that it was too embarrassing for a dignified, immortal emperor to compete with these little cultivators. Don't worry, madam, I can handle it. Chen Junai looked like he wanted to be reasonable and asked his wife not to stop him. By the way, he also knows that a good wife brings less trouble to her husband. That's just far-fetched talk. The young monks were speechless. They understood the truth, but they just wouldn't accept it. They refused to accept it. He clenched his fists tightly. His eyes filled with anger, and he couldn't wait to fight Chen Junai. Luck is luck, but that doesn't mean it's your strength. Considering that we all contributed to capturing the Thunder Dragon and the ancient Thunder Tree, do you have the courage to compete with us? The strongest one will take it. The principle that the strong are respected, Chen Junai said deliberately. That's right, do you dare? A group of monks looked eager to try. Jia was unhappy. It's impossible to bully her husband. I don't think it's necessary. What my husband said makes sense, and the ancient thunder plant is already in our hands. Why bother competing with you before handing it over? It's a waste of time and unfair. Come and get it yourself if you have the guts. Since I can't take my husband away and can't stop him, I can only deal with these little monks together with my husband. Chen Junai secretly wanted to laugh. Then he said seriously, Of course I dare to compete with you, but there is no need because my wife is right. Faced with the majesty that Jia displayed, the young monks were stunned for a moment. Then I was shocked. I didn't expect that they were a Taoist couple. He gritted his teeth and looked around at his companions. They didn't have any Taoist partners, they were just fellow disciples. There was no way he could win this argument. It is also at this time. A powerful aura came rapidly. Who dares to make things difficult for the disciples of the Balian immortal sect? Hearing this sound, many young monks became excited. It's the sixth elder's voice. The sixth elder is here. Sure enough, the sixth elder is following us in secret, protecting us. Balian Xianzong. An old man soon appeared in front of Chen Junai and Jia. The sixth elder of the Balian immortal sect possessed immense authority, secretly protecting the sect's disciples. Sensing some trouble, he had no choice but to reveal himself, then immediately glanced at Chen Junai and Jia. Seeing this, many disciples became even more excited. The sixth elder is a powerful immortal king. The sixth elder is well known in the sect for being a protective guardian of his own children. The sixth elder will definitely make the decision for us. Sixth elder must give us an explanation. We are just two true immortal realms. You can't tell us about luck or strength now, right? Heh, tilde. Look, the sixth elder is gone. The sixth elder has run away. Chapter 34, Why did that strong man kowtow to us? After watching the sixth elder run away without saying a word, several disciples were stunned, and the smiles on their faces froze. But before they could react, they found that the sixth elder had returned. Hope is rekindled in my heart. Look, the sixth elder is back. The sixth elder is kneeling down. Then the sixth elder knelt down in front of Chen Junai and Jia, as if he was paying homage to his ancestors. Then the sixth elder ran away again. How is this possible? Several disciples began to doubt their lives. They never expected that even the sixth elder would be so hilarious. Look, the sixth elder is back again. It turned out to be the sixth elder who had returned again. Tilde, the sixth elder broke our legs. Sixth elder, be gentle. Sixth elder, please spare my life. The fairy forest was filled with the howling sounds like pigs being slaughtered. Also heard, you have been expelled from the Balian immortal sect. The sixth elder looked terrified, sweating profusely, trembling and shaking all over. After doing all this, he ran away again. It's him, the immortal emperor of eternal night. He cursed inwardly, a bunch of little beasts, actually provoking the eternal night immortal emperor. He even brought an unknown female cultivator with him. He didn't even dare to say a word. He wasn't even worthy of addressing the eternal night immortal emperor by his given name. He wasn't worthy of speaking to the eternal night immortal emperor. He was so frightened he couldn't even speak. so he could only demonstrate his resolve through action and leave as quickly as possible. As for why he kowtowed to the woman next to the immortal emperor of eternal night, it was because he felt they had a very good relationship, and he believed that if he kowtowed, the woman would say something good about him. If the immortal emperor of eternal night wanted to kill him, he naturally couldn't escape. No one could save him, and nothing he said would be of any use. If the immortal emperor of eternal night didn't want to kill him, then he could naturally leave, thinking back to when he had met the eternal night immortal emperor. But at that time, the eternal night immortal emperor seemed to be at a similar level to him. See the sixth elder running away again. Many disciples simply couldn't do it and howled in pain. I was filled with shock and fear, and my whole body was shaking. Besides that, I was just confused. What did the sixth elder say? They've been expelled from the sect. Could it be that they have provoked a terrifying existence that even the Balian Xianzong cannot afford to provoke? Why else would the sixth elder do this? So resolute and ruthless. The sixth elder is a powerful immortal king. The thought of this possibility made them gasp, and their hair stand on end. But when he struggled to look, there was no trace of Chen Junai and Zia Jiao. No one gave them an explanation. Is there any justice in the world? Husband, why did that powerful man from Balian Xianzong kowtow to us? Zia Jiao asked deliberately after leaving. She had some guesses, but wasn't quite sure. Isn't it because they know that the disciples of the Balian Xianzong have caused trouble, and they are putting on a show for us? Chen Junai finished speaking and then asked, Madam, don't you know either? It seems to be because of you. Just put the blame on your wife. After hearing this, Zia Jiao had no choice but to admit it reluctantly. Perhaps he also knew that our Chaosian immortal sect was backed by the Jidao Imperial Palace. He couldn't afford to offend them, so he did that. She thought to herself, that immortal king must have recognized her as the immortal emperor of the Jidao Imperial Palace. That's why he acted like that. Fortunately, that immortal king didn't say anything. As for the Chaosian immortal sect backing the Jidao Imperial Palace, no one should know about this except the couple. I see. Chen Junai looked as if he had suddenly realized something. I was wondering why such a powerful person would kowtow to us regardless of everything. It seems that having a powerful patron to deter others is a good thing. But madam, what realm can the elders of Balian Xianzong reach? He pretended not to know. Then he thought to himself, fortunately the immortal king didn't say anything, otherwise it would have disturbed their honeymoon. But the Balian immortal sect, he seemed to have come into contact with it before, and the immortal king must have recognized him. Zia Jiao said, the Balian immortal sect is also considered a good sect in the Jishiandao immortal realm. The elders should have reached the realm of immortal king. Immortal king, that's still very powerful, Chen Junai said in shock. Zia Jiao smiled and said, Husband, one day you will also be able to become a powerful immortal king. Facing his wife's encouragement, Chen Junai was delighted. Madam, you're right, but this time I'm so lucky to have the immortal king come to pay me homage. Zia Jiao was afraid of being exposed, so she quickly changed the subject. Then my husband, let's go back quickly. After completing the mission, we can get other cultivation resources. She knew in her heart that her husband's real combat capability should be around the 5th level of true immortal. Well, I can go back and formulate a husband training plan, and then I can openly give my husband the resources I got from the Jidao Imperial Palace as a reward tilde. Okay, Chen Junai then had another sudden idea. Ma'am, I'll hold you and you can jump around. Jump, jump. Zia Jiao's pretty face looked strange again. Yes, the kind that makes you look happy and lively. Don't want. Zia Jiao was naturally very embarrassed. For immortal emperor like her to jump around like that, if word got out she would be humiliated. That's the behavior of a little girl. She even pretended to be proud and turned her face away. Since madam doesn't want to, then madam, pull me along, I'll do it. Ah, husband, I want it, I want it. Zia Jiao couldn't bear to imagine such a beautiful scene, so she quickly stopped her husband and decided that it would be more appropriate for her to do it herself. And then Zia Jiao blushed deeply under the smiling gaze of her husband, and then was pulled by her husband and forced to jump happily. At first I was really embarrassed and couldn't let go, but later on, I felt full of energy and my mood became cheerful, as if I had forgotten all my worries. But from time to time, she couldn't help but want to give her husband a look to express her dissatisfaction. As I was talking, I couldn't help laughing. Chen Junai was very happy. It was very pleasing to the eyes. His mood was as good as his wife's. Soon Zia Jiao was jumping and skipping, and was picked up by Chen Junai by the waist, with her slender legs resting on his strong arms. Then Chen Jianai fiercely took her sweet lips. At this moment, the couple were thinking that one day they would hold each other's hands, and then hold the two children together, and both mother and the two children would be happy and jumping around. Of course, while my parents are in love, they don't need two kids for the time being. Ancient continent. Young master, it seems someone has stepped into your formation. After noticing some movement, Zioju, Ziok, Zioli, and Ziodi all became alert. After waiting for so many days, the unlucky guy finally arrived. The drowsy Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were also startled when they heard the voice. Ever since they competed in setting up the formation, they had been exhausted and sleepy for several days, becoming listless human cubs. Now I can finally test the power of their formation. He immediately became lively and energetic. Oh, that's great. Chapter 35, Robbery. Our life motto is to rob wherever we go. Zyro Hao, finally a kind-hearted person appeared for the unlucky guy, Chen Ziyuan said excitedly. Yes, sister, this kind-hearted person is really unlucky, but we should thank them for letting them try out the power of our formation, Chen Zihao said heartlessly. All the monsters shuddered, but Chen Ziyuan felt a little reluctant. Zyro Hao, what if the person trapped in the formation is a good person? I'd rather the one trying our formation be a bad guy. Upon hearing this, Chen Zihao's face became troubled. Yes, sister, what should we do? I wonder if we can turn them into bad guys. Ah, this shouldn't be easy. Chen Ziyuan was speechless. But the formation is ours. We can definitely control it, then we can run in and take a look. After saying that, Chen Ziyuan rushed over. Yes, sister. Chen Zihao's eyes lit up and he followed Chen Ziyuan happily. The four monsters followed reluctantly, praying in their hearts. Please don't hurt us by mistake. Please don't hurt us by mistake. Amitabha, mommy. At the same time, in the formation, a group of monks inexplicably broke in here. They were a group of robbery cultivators. As the name suggests, they were monks who relied on robbery to make a living and became powerful. After all, the essence of spiritual practice itself is the competition and plundering of resources. Fight with others, fight with the powerful, fight with all things, fight with the heavens. In this way, you can become stronger and stronger, killing people and stealing treasures, calculating other people's cultivation resources, and deceiving each other are the norm in the world of cultivation. It's just that the Jai Ziu cultivators don't have much morality. They won't be bound by any dogma or rules, and they won't fight for it fairly and justly, so compared to this, they are infinitely more excessive. And all they care about is robbery. If you don't agree, just rob. If you set your sights on something, just rob it. If doing it openly doesn't work, then let's do it at night when it's dark and windy. It can be said that they rob wherever they go and do whatever they want just to satisfy all their desires. Similarly, as long as they rob enough and are immoral enough, they can be terrifying enough. Of course, it is precisely because of this that Jai Ziu is notorious in the cultivation world and is hated by everyone. However, it is difficult to completely eradicate it. After all, the resources and protective treasures robbed by the robbers are too many, which will undoubtedly enhance their strength and ability to protect their lives. The leader of the robbers was a ferocious man with cold eyes. His name was Jiang Sha. At this moment, he realized something was wrong and frowned. We were trapped in the formation without realizing it. Then his expression became serious. The other tribulation cultivators were slightly shocked. What kind of formation is this? Who did this again? Isn't someone deliberately ambushing us? I don't know, I have never seen such a formation. I'm afraid there is some powerful person hiding here. This formation is used for protection. We just happened to encounter it. It doesn't seem like a deliberate ambush. Jiang Sha narrowed his eyes. He had been in the business for so long, living on the edge of a knife every day, and often being chased and hacked by a group of people. Naturally, he was knowledgeable and could detect some clues. Upon hearing this, the hearts of many tribulation cultivators trembled slightly. The person who could trap them in this formation without anyone noticing must be a strong person. Jiang Sha was at the spirit transformation realm, and he was trapped without even noticing it. So the person who set up the formation might be even more powerful. The only good news is that it is highly likely that they are not ambushed specifically. So even if the opponent is very terrifying, there is still room for maneuver. An elderly man looked at Jiang Sha, said, "How should we deal with it? Should we go to the valley ahead?" The old man knew that his talent was relatively poor and his lifespan was limited. In order to become stronger, he could only join the ranks of the calamity cultivators. Relying on fighting and harming others to improve himself was better than waiting to die. Jiang Sha sneered. "Of course I'll go. From my experience, the valleys in the mountains are where spiritual energy converges, so there must be treasures. Now that there is a formation here, it further proves this. There must be a hidden strongman here. Since we robbers have targeted him, we must rob him no matter what. Loot him completely. If you don't accept it, just rob it. This is their spiritual creed. Other robbery cultivators naturally want to snatch resources, but they are not stupid. They have to be afraid of death when they should be afraid of death. Otherwise, no matter how many resources they snatch, if they don't have the life to enjoy them, it will all be in vain. But if we can't deal with the strong men in this valley, we will be in danger. That makes sense. Not to mention, there are other forces tracking us, so we shouldn't stay here for long. There were so many forces they were robbing that there were quite a few that were chasing them. So they never stay in one place for too long. They always have nowhere to stay and just go wherever they want. What's there to be afraid of? Jiang Sha was a little displeased. He had seen too many strong men and robbed countless people. How could he just give in when he saw someone who might be powerful? So what if the other party is a return to Void Realm expert? The innate spiritual treasure we snatched from the Qingshan sect. Although it can only be used once, it is not difficult to stop a powerful return to Void Realm expert. And the magical weapons we snatched from Longhu Mountain can also resist a few. Furthermore, the talismans we snatched from the Tiangshuan sect can allow us to unleash the power of a return to Void Realm expert. Finally, the elixir we stole from the Sword Gate can put me into a berserk state, doubling my strength. Oh, and the puppets we snatched from the puppet sect also have such power. Also, the concubine of the Holy Lord that we snatched from the Tiangshuan Holy Land can also be used as a beauty trap. If we can't defeat her, we can just charm her. Finally, the Zhang family ancestor's only son, whom we snatched from Fenghuo City, can also be used as a hostage. After Jiang Sha finished speaking, he carried out a baby. Wah wah wah, the baby looked around and then started crying. That's it, what's there to be afraid of? Seeing this, many tribulation cultivators fell silent. That makes sense. We have many methods to deal with one or two of them. That's right, with so many life-saving trump cards, even if the opponent is very powerful, they may not be able to deal with us. Let's rob the strong man in this valley and leave immediately. Then one by one they became excited, as if their blood was activated and started robbing. It's a pity that I went to that Tianian temple a few days ago and got nothing. I didn't grab anything. Humph, it's because those female disciples of Tianian temple are too quick. They snatched it faster than us. It's embarrassing to think about it. The treasure was right in front of me, but I didn't even grab it. It was quickly taken away by the disciples of Tianian temple. HMPH, those women in Taoist robes at Tianian temple are truly quite charming. Their figures, their looks. Oh, next time I'll snatch them away to warm my bed. Yes, let's go next time at night. A group of robbery cultivators started cursing when they thought of something unpleasant. Then they calmed down because they still had to do the next job. Then what should we do next? They all looked at Jiang Sha. Jiang Sha looked at him coldly. Of course, we have to break the formation first. As long as we break this formation, we can enter the valley. Also, this formation looks pretty good. I think I can snatch it away. All the cultivators admire him very much. Big brother is still our big brother. At this moment, a childish voice suddenly came. Huh, you guys are so good at stealing and you steal so much. You must be bad guys, right? Chapter 36, ha ha ha. It turns out they are two little brats. Upon hearing this, all the tribulation cultivators were stunned. Nonsense, right? We're definitely not good people if we steal so much. Who on earth is talking? After realizing what was happening, their expressions all changed. This is definitely not what they said. Still sounds like a child. He immediately looked around vigilantly, but was completely unable to find where the other party was. The hidden Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao became excited. Zio Hao, they said they are not good people. Yes, sister, they admit that they are bad people. Then we don't have to turn them into bad people. That's right, we don't need to go through all the trouble of setting up a control array. We can test the power of our formation now. We don't have to thank them afterward. Yeah, that's awesome. The four monsters hid behind Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao, fearing that they would activate the formation if they were unreliable and implicate them. The two little ones' voices were so loud that they reached the ears of many tribulation cultivators, leaving them all stunned. Looks like two children. It sounds like the two kids are excited after knowing they are the bad guys. What are you saying? The formation is controlled by these two children. What do you mean by testing the power of their formation? No need to thank me after testing it. Then he almost burst out laughing. Just two kids dared to say such outrageous things. How could a little brat set up such a formation? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Jiang Sha's eyes were cold, but he had already let down his guard. After all, a figure like him was feared by countless people. How could he be afraid of just two little brats? If this gets out, he'll be finished. He said, "Two little kids, if this is a prank of yours and you are playing tricks on us, then let us go immediately, otherwise I will rob you all." He didn't believe that two children could set up such a formation. He thought they were the children of a powerful person hidden in the valley, and these two children could control these formations through some means. By scaring people, they can also save time. The other robbery cultivators looked like they were watching the fun. It was so funny, so funny. This was the first time they had seen two naughty kids dare to tease them. They must be thinking about their parents getting robbed. They wouldn't even have anywhere to cry. Hearing this voice, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao both jumped out angrily. "Bad guys, if you dare to snatch the beautiful sister, we won't let you go. Sister is right, you even want to rob us. You are such a bad guy." They heard the voices of these bad guys, saying something about going to Tianyan Temple. Haven't they robbed it yet? What about that Taoist-robed female disciple who has a certain charm? Her figure, her looks. She snatched her up to warm the bed. She must be talking about that beautiful sister. Then we can't let them go. When they saw Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao, many tribulation cultivators looked surprised for a moment, and then began to laugh at them mercilessly. Ha 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 ha, it turns out they are two little brats. I'm afraid he's no more than 3 years old. We're so scared. You don't know how terrifying we are, do you? As for the so-called beautiful sister mentioned by the two little brats, they were too lazy to pay attention. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao's eyes widened. "Sister, they seem to look down on 3-year-old kids like us." Chen Zihao's temper flared up. Chen Ziyuan snorted. "Zio Hao, let them taste the power of our formation." Jiang Sha was extremely decisive. Without saying a word, he grabbed Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. How dare two children talk to him like that? Humph, as long as we catch these two brats, maybe we can use them as hostages later and be of some use. But just when he was about to catch them, he found that the two little brats had disappeared, and he grabbed a handful of air. My heart skipped a beat. What a fast speed. Could it be that he is even more powerful than him? Impossible. It must be because of the formation. Before Jiang Sha had time to think about it, the next moment, a violent aura began to descend in the space covered by the formation. Immediately reminded, "Oh no, the formation has been activated." He was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. He didn't catch the two little brats, but they even activated the formation. Wait, we must catch them. Let them watch helplessly as their parents are robbed of everything they have. At the same time, the formation was soon enveloped by a red mist, in which the shadows of countless weapons condensed. There are endless swords, spears, halberds, and hammers of all kinds, and they are still constantly taking shape, as if it is a battlefield of killing. Then he directly surrounded and killed the many robbery cultivators. Everyone's face changed drastically. What a terrifying, murderous aura. What kind of formation is this? Such a strong, murderous aura must be a treasure with killing attributes. Overwhelmed by this force, they found their bodies trembling and unable to resist. In other words, this killing array can really wipe them out. I can't laugh anymore, I can't laugh at all. Jiang Sha's expression turned ugly, and he shouted angrily, "Everyone, follow me to break the formation. As long as we break this formation, we will definitely be able to capture those two little brats." They simply cannot accept being made to stumble over two little brats. Upon hearing this, many tribulation cultivators became angry. Break the formation together. It would be better if those two little brats hadn't shown up. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in such a state right now, practically vomiting blood. But at this moment, their will changed and became extremely determined, which was to rob the two little brats first. Boom, boom, boom. Jiang Sha took the lead, but faced with the siege of the killing array, he soon fell into a disadvantage. Even his divine transformation realm cultivation was so difficult. My heart sank. This formation is definitely not simple. There are many ways to break the formation. The simplest one is to rely on pure strength to shatter the formation, but it seems that they cannot do it even if they join forces. Or they could find the center of the formation and destroy its core to achieve their goal. Unfortunately, this killing formation was too powerful. Even if they found it, it would be difficult for them to break the center of the formation under the siege. Another thing is consumption. If it's a formation, then there must be something that supplies energy. As long as this energy is consumed, the formation can be broken. Unfortunately, they don't know if they can hold on until then. Other robbery cultivators were even more difficult to resist. They were not as strong as Jiang Sha, so their defenses were cut into pieces like paper. He could only dodge in panic, fleeing and howling in the Kyan killing formation. How could he even laugh? He almost cried. Seeing that many tribulation cultivators were suffering terribly and were already pissing and bleeding from trauma, Jiang Sha gritted his teeth and immediately made up his mind. Innate spiritual treasure, ancient broken pearl. This is a treasure robbed from the Qingshan sect. It is a treasure born from heaven and earth and is in no way comparable to any acquired spiritual treasure refined by others. Although this thing is very precious and can only be used once, they can't bear to part with it now. They don't have much time to waste, and they don't want to cause too many casualties. Otherwise, they will definitely have a hard time dealing with the forces chasing them. Innate spiritual treasures, acquired spiritual treasures, and magical instruments are all similar to spiritual instruments. They are all treasures that can increase the combat effectiveness or other abilities of cultivators, but the effects are different. Jiang Sha activated the Gu Paju, and soon, a terrifying force was released with the Gu Paju as the center. Break roared. Seeing this, the other robbery cultivators breathed a sigh of relief. It was the ancient broken bead they had robbed. Let's break this formation quickly. They don't want to stay here anymore, so why would they care about the pain? Boom! The next moment, the ancient broken bead crashed into the Kyan killing formation, and the terrifying innate spiritual power burst out, forcibly breaking a gap in it. But it was just a small gap. The tribulation cultivators gasped. What a powerful killing array! They had only cracked the ancient broken bead so slightly. How could they destroy the entire killing array? It is hard to imagine what kind of treasure supports the core of this formation. But there was no time to think about it. I just wanted to escape from here. Otherwise, the ancient broken bead would be wasted. Let's go! Jiang Sha rushed directly towards the gap. The ancient broken bead only had such a small crack, and they still had to drill it. They didn't care about the pain. The others followed without saying a word. After quickly escaping from the killing formation, the tribulation cultivators breathed a sigh of relief, but they still looked frightened. Fortunately, they had many ways to rob it. Otherwise, we would have been stuck here today. Afterwards, they felt they had recovered and became furious. Without the formation, let's see where those two little brats can escape. We must catch them. They robbed their parents and let them know how terrifying we are and how dangerous the cultivation world is. I gnashed my teeth in anger because my opponents were actually two naughty kids. I had never felt so aggrieved before. Jiang Sha's eyes were cold, and he obviously thought the same thing. What a waste of an innate spiritual treasure. Without the formation's protection, where will those two little ghosts run? Let's go. They won't do a business that will make them lose money. They must rob them back. But at this moment, another terrifying aura spread throughout the entire space. Chapter 37. Formation, it's formation, and there is formation. When Jiang Sha noticed this, he felt something was wrong. No, there are other formations. Their faces changed drastically. They never expected that they had just left the killing formation and were caught in another formation without anyone noticing. The many robbery cultivators who were about to rush over and swear to seek revenge on the two little brats were also stunned for a moment. What? There are other formations. At the same time, 9 huge fire dragon phantoms appeared in front of them. It was rolling its body madly above, releasing terrifying flames. The temperature of the entire space became so hot that it seemed as if they were standing shoulder to shoulder with the sun. Everyone looked horrified. Oh no, it's a fire formation. With such a terrifying flame, the core of the formation must be a powerful fire attribute treasure. Vomiting blood. I just escaped from the killing array, but unexpectedly fell into the fire array again. Thinking about their previous experience in the killing array, many tribulation cultivators subconsciously swallowed their saliva and felt a chill in their bodies. When they saw the 9-headed fire dragon's gaze locked onto them, they shuddered again. Quick, who has the water attribute? Idiot, if we can't defeat them and suppress them, this place will turn into a steamer. Do you want us to turn into buns? For a moment, everything became chaotic again. Jiang Sha's face was extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth and roared. What are you panicking about? If we can break a hole in the killing array, we can also break this fire array. After hearing this, the cultivators calmed down. That makes sense. If we work together, we will definitely be able to break this fire formation. Once I've broken this formation, I don't believe there are any other formations here. I won't give up until I catch those two naughty kids. As he spoke, a 9-headed fire dragon came roaring. Many cultivators could only rush forward with gritted teeth. Boom, boom, boom. Soon, the flames spread and turned into a sea of fire. It's so hot, so hot. They could only fly around, but they couldn't escape the scorching heat. Some people even started to burn directly after being infected by the power of the fire dragon. It's almost done, it's almost done. The terrifying aura of Jiang Sha in the divine transformation realm erupted. He's a powerful person at this level. When has he ever been so embarrassed? Gnashing teeth in anger. However, he was also a very decisive person. After blocking the power of several fire dragons, he took out a magic weapon without saying a word. It turned out that it was also robbed. I didn't feel too bad about using it. At worst, I could just rob another one. Dragon Tiger Scissors. This is a magic weapon refined by the strong men of Longhu Mountain, and they salvaged it. Jiang Sha held the Dragon Tiger hook and used his spiritual power to activate it. Break! With a roar, he headed straight for the edge of the fire array. If the formation is not broken and the energy of the formation center is not exhausted, those fire dragons will only continue to appear and cannot be completely eliminated. So we can only find a way to break the fire formation. Boom! After the collision, the aura in the entire formation became more violent, but it also created a weak point. Jiang Sha's eyes were slightly hot. Can it be broken? Look, that's the Dragon Tiger Scissor. Seeing this, many embarrassed cultivators finally felt a little relieved. Otherwise, if this continued, they would be roasted into charcoal. And with powerful magic tools to help, it will definitely be useful. Jiang Sha looked at the gap created by the dragon and tiger hue and fell into deep thought. Another small passage. But there was no time for nonsense. Let's go. The other tribulation cultivators immediately followed with great joy. After escaping from the 9 dragons' fire formation, they gasped for breath. Fortunately, we have enough trump cards. After they came to their senses, they felt that they were okay again and became filled with righteous indignation. Humph, 2 little brats. How can this be possible? I don't know if they did it, but it's definitely related to them. Jiang Sha had learned from his previous experience and was on guard, looking around with extreme vigilance. I wonder if there are any other formations. But just as he finished speaking, a terrifying aura descended again. The tribulation cultivators were obviously also on guard against this, and they almost cried after realizing it. His face looked extremely ugly. There's also a formation. The anger level is increased, but what I feel more is frustration and the urge to vomit blood. Also at the same time, countless meteorites formed above their heads, densely packed and endless. Oh no, it's a meteorite formation. In an instant, the meteorites began to fall. The tribulation cultivators began to dodge. After experiencing the previous 2 formations, they were exhausted and would not feel good if they were hit. Some people faced the falling meteorites head-on to block them. Boom, boom, boom. Crush large pieces of meteorites with ease. But another wave of meteorites fell again, continuously. Jiang Sha felt that he could no longer endure it. An angry fist. Dragon Tiger Scissors. Fortunately, this magic weapon can be used multiple times. Although this meteorite formation is not very scary, it is a consumption-type formation. The endless meteorites can consume all their spiritual power. I wonder if there are other formations. They can't be consumed anymore. But this time he was careful and broke the meteorite formation from another direction, so as to avoid falling into other formations and being tossed around. Boom, boom, boom. After another gap was opened, many robbery cultivators and refugees swarmed in. But before he could even catch his breath, he felt a terrible gravity coming down. Besides, with a loud bang, the tribulation cultivators were directly pressed to the ground by this terrifying gravity, their faces touching the earth, unable to even fly. It's a gravity formation. His mentality collapsed. Jiang Sha was trembling all over and was filled with anger. He just couldn't believe that they could be trapped here today. And then, break the formation. We're out. Oh no, there's another water formation. Many water monsters appeared, and a suffocating feeling of being submerged in water came. Dragon Tiger Scissors. We're out again. Oh no, there's another thunder array. There was a crackling sound and endless thunder, as if some powerful being from heaven and earth was overcoming the calamity. Dragon Tiger Scissors. We are not good. This is an illusion. Dragon Tiger is broken. Vulnerable pill. Jiang Sha's aura surged, breaking the formation directly. This is a magic array. Several huge black monsters, all releasing demonic energy, appeared, and many cultivators gasped. Talisman. Boom, boom, boom. This is a sandstorm. Puppet break. What kind of formation is this? A calamity formation. Puppet break. Look, it's the beast tide formation. Puppet break it again. Disaster formation. Puppet, the puppet is broken. Jiang Sha's mentality collapsed. Before even meeting the powerful man hidden in the valley, all the trump cards have been used up. Soul-slaying sword. I can only take out my own magic weapon. There's more, it's like hell. Soul-slaying sword. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone has become mentally numb. They have endured torture that they shouldn't have to endure. It's so painful. Help me up, I want to see what other formations there are. This time they waited for a long time and found that nothing unexpected happened. Suddenly, I became energetic, as if I had been injected with chicken blood. Hadahata no more hadahata. Very good. Jiang Sha stared at the space in front of him with murderous intent in his eyes. No, there is another defensive formation. Defensive formation. So, as long as we break this defensive formation, we will definitely be able to enter the valley. The tribulation cultivators were finally able to get excited. This hadn't been easy, like escaping death by a hair's breadth. It was infinitely more difficult than when they robbed other factions. That's right, this defensive formation must be the last one. Jiang Sha's eyes flashed. He swore he would definitely catch those two brats. He would rob their parents right in front of them. He would leave them with nothing. The other tribulation cultivators thought the same thing, and their anger flared up again. Their tempers, which had just been extinguished, began to resurface. Jiang Sha was about to attack, slash the soul. Why are you making holes everywhere in our formation? At this moment, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao ran out. They have been watching. It turns out that their formation is quite powerful, but it is strange that these bad guys keep drilling holes. He didn't forget to mutter, "Sister, our formation is so powerful. Look at these bad guys, they are almost not human anymore." Yes, in this way there will be no problem for us to join the sect. The four monsters looked at the numerous cultivators with horror. It was too miserable, it was unbearable to watch. Drill a hole. Many Jai Ziu Qi were jumping up and down. Can that be called digging a hole? They suspected they were being mocked. HMPH, you two little brats, once we break this defensive formation, we will definitely rob you. We swear. They gnashed their teeth and trembled all over, which showed how deep their resentment was at the moment. You dare to show up, Jiang Sha sneered. The two little brats didn't understand the seriousness of the matter. Then he took decisive action to break the defensive formation. Soul-slaying sword. Boom, boom, boom. The soul-slaying sword is broken. Sacrifice my essence and blood, Jiang Sha roared, and desperately used his ability to injure the enemy by 1,000 and lose 800 of his own. It was obviously the monk's method of sacrifice. At this moment, his aura rose steadily. I'm determined to catch these two little brats. Seeing this, the other robbery cultivators dared not breathe a word. Jiang Sha even resorted to this method to break the defense formation. The eldest brother is the eldest brother. It can also be seen that Jiang Sha is as angry as they are. Sister, in order to rob us, he actually bleeds himself, Chen Zihao exclaimed in disbelief. Chen Ziyuan's eyes flickered. It seems so. Bad guy, if you want to break the formation, then break it. Why did you commit suicide? Suicide? The tribulation cultivators almost died of laughter. These two little brats were so stupid. Boom! The next moment, Jiang Sha broke a gap in the defensive formation, and everyone rushed out immediately. Jiang Sha laughed heartily. You two are finished. He immediately grabbed the two little ones. He was willing to resort to sacrifice just to catch these two kids. No one can stop it. Just when they were about to catch it at this moment, they seemed to have stepped into some mysterious place, and everything started to move. This is a teleportation array. Chapter 38, the atmosphere was so good but it was teleported away. Oh my God, whose child is this? After the tribulation cultivators realized that they were being teleported, their mentality completely collapsed. Why is there a teleportation array? Who has the time to set up a teleportation array here? He covered his chest and roared angrily, almost choking on his breath. They had finally broken through many formations, consumed countless treasures, and narrowly escaped death. They were about to capture those two little brats and enter the valley to rob them. But they were teleported away. Go away. Hedahaha, laughing is uglier than crying. Especially Jiang Sha. He was so depressed that he vomited blood. He was not afraid to resort to sacrifice. He would even burn his own blood and essence to become stronger and break the formation, catching those two little brats. Seeing it so close, I grabbed it casually, but was teleported away. After losing 800 of his own strength, He realized that he was already far away from the enemy. So much so that at this moment he couldn't vent all his strength. The dizziness after burning the essence and blood also surged into my heart. Damn it! A low roar and heavy breathing. When the power of the sacrifice wore off, it might even cause his cultivation to regress. Thinking of this consequence, Jiang Sha puffed out a mouthful of blood. This revenge must be avenged. The murderous intent is overwhelming. But the other robbery cultivators didn't bother to pay attention to him. After being angry, everyone almost burst into tears. Where are we being teleported to? Isn't it a random teleportation? Thinking of this possibility, they shuddered all over. The teleportation array can quickly teleport monks to their destination, saving time. But there is a difference between random teleportation and fixed-point teleportation. Fixed-point teleportation might be a little safer, but random teleportation is simply gambling with your life. Puff! My mentality collapsed again. When they broke the formation, they didn't think of kneeling down and begging the little ancestor for mercy. But now they suddenly knelt down. Oh my God, whose naughty kid is this? Oh my God, please let us go. We don't want to rob anymore, we want to be good people. Amitabha, may Buddha bless us, may Buddha bless us. I don't even know what their future fate will be. So how can I bother to find two naughty kids to take revenge? Only when you are alive can you dare to think. Seeing this, Jiang Sha's vision immediately went dark, and he could no longer bear it. They didn't expect this result when they left. They were there to rob. They were dignified robbery cultivators. They weren't there to overcome the calamity. Faint, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao in Jingxi Valley discovered that a group of bad guys suddenly disappeared. I am a little puzzled by the whole thing. The bad guys are gone. Chen Ziyuan looked around and found that there was really no trace of those bad guys. Chen Zihao scratched his head awkwardly. Sister, I was the one who set up the teleportation array. They might have been teleported away. Chen Ziyuan pouted when she heard this. Oh, now I remember. We were very tired and sleepy at that time, so we just arranged it casually. But Ziohao, where will you teleport them to? I don't know, sister. It should be a random teleportation. Chen Zihao was a little proud. Randomly teleport. Chen Ziyuan touched his chin. All right, teleport the bad guys away, so we don't have to continue setting up the formation. When they saw those bad guys coming towards them, they actually wanted to continue setting up the formation. But since they were teleported away, there was no need for that. Yes, yes, sister, our formation is very powerful. Chen Zihao was still excited. Obviously, he was very satisfied with his formation. Zioju, Ziok, Zioali, and Ziodi were all speechless. You guys are still thinking of setting up a formation to deal with the bad guys at that time. Shouldn't it be solved with just a slap? I dare not talk about the little master, nor do I dare to ask about the little master. Let the little master do whatever he wants, as long as he is happy. However, those human monks are really powerful. They all have ways to protect their lives in the formation group and can actually run out alive, which shows that the strength of that group of monks is also not weak. Anyway, they thought that if they were trapped in the formation of their young master, they would definitely end up being plucked, scaled, gutted, and boiled in oil. Moreover, the strong man led by the group of monks seemed to be quite powerful. He even used the method of burning human blood essence before, and his strength increased dramatically, but he was teleported away by the young master. If nothing unexpected happens, that strong man will be attacked by the power, damaging his foundation and even regressing his cultivation. This is too miserable. As the four monsters were thinking, they found that their little master was already walking back hand in hand, so they hurried to follow. Zio Hao, those bad guys wanted to take the pretty sister back to warm her bed, so we can be considered as revenge for the pretty sister. Yes, yes, the pretty sister will definitely thank us when she finds out, and she'll want to kiss us even more, Tilda. That's right, our formation is so powerful, we will definitely be able to join the sect in the future. Then, sister, which sect should we go to? Well, Tilda, let's go back and look at the map first. We must find the most powerful sect. Okay, sister, let's find the most powerful sect in Dongju. We can't run too far. Then, Zaya Ohao, let's go back quickly. Joining the most powerful sect will definitely require high requirements. This isn't safe enough. We need to learn alchemy and talisman making. Okay, sister. Once we learn it and join the most powerful sect, we can go play with beautiful sisters Tilda. As they were talking, the two kids ran back to Jingxi Valley and became busy again. Tianyan Temple. Li Mayaajin was not in a very good mood at the moment, because their Tianyan Temple had also been targeted by a group of hateful robbery cultivators. They were robbed a few days ago, but fortunately they were smart and reacted quickly, minimizing the losses. Beside her were other female disciples wearing Taoist robes. Senior sister Chu Yuheng's face was filled with rage. That group of tribulation cultivators are simply lawless and committing all kinds of evil. How dare they attack our Tiantian temple? The robbery cultivators have never had any moral principles and always do whatever they want. Not to mention that the one leading the robbery cultivator has already reached the divine transformation realm. We are no match for them. Second senior sister Gong Luoyu was also angry, but she could only shake her head helplessly. Li Meyerajin is the same. Two senior sisters, that group of robbery cultivators, clearly came prepared. They took advantage of the temple master's absence to attack. Otherwise, how could they dare to be so presumptuous? Their Tiantian temple only has female disciples, and she herself is also a core disciple level. Chu Yuheng and Gong Luoyu are both her senior sisters, and they are also at the Tianyuan realm, but they are slightly stronger than her. Even if they joined forces, they could only barely protect themselves from the powerful gods. Third junior sister is right. The robbers are not fools. They always look for favorable moments when they strike. They must have known that the abbot was not inside the temple. Chu Yuheng's chest heaved. And they have offended many forces. If they were not afraid of being exposed and being hunted down and trapped here, I'm afraid we would all be in great danger. Gong Luoyu nodded. When they attack, they never stay too long, let alone fight too hard, so we can't hold them back. They didn't achieve their goal this time, and I'm afraid they will take advantage of the fact that the temple master hasn't returned yet and attack Tiantian temple again. Li Meyerajin obviously thought of this as well. Jai Ziyu is very hateful, but she was still thinking. I hope Ziyuan and Zihao won't come to play with her during this period of time, otherwise it will be too dangerous. Chapter 39. The Three Sisters of Tiantian Temple. Li Meyerajin knew that Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were very powerful, and might also be cultivators in the spirit transformation realm. But things are a bit chaotic at Tiantian Temple right now, and the Jai Ziyu could return at any time. And the two kids told her they'd come to play with her. So she couldn't help but worry in her heart, fearing that it would affect the two little ones, which would not be a good thing. After all, this group of tribulation cultivators are much more difficult to deal with than the previous blood demon ancestor. Li Meyerajin temporarily suppressed his thoughts and said, the robbery cultivators have no specific place to stay, so they are difficult to catch and detect. For us, they are impossible to defend against. Chu Yuheng and Gong Luoyu naturally understood this, and it was precisely because of this that they had even more headaches. Besides, they have so many tricks up their sleeves that it's not worth it to fight to the death with them. Fortunately, I was able to protect the treasure that protects Tiantian Temple this time. Otherwise, if the temple master returns, we will have a hard time explaining ourselves. No matter what, we must make adequate preparations before they invade our Tiantian Temple again. Chu Yuheng's face showed frost. Gong Luoyu and Li Meyerajin nodded repeatedly. That's right, senior sister. Suddenly, Chu Yuheng remembered something and looked at Li Meyerajin. Third junior sister, did 2 3-year-olds really help you kill the blood demon ancestor? Upon hearing this, Gong Luoyu also showed a puzzled expression. Their Tiantian temple has always been good at suppressing evil spirits and demons, but this is the first time they have seen 2 3-year-old children helping them. It always feels a little strange. Li Meyerajin nodded. The blood demon ancestor has made a breakthrough, and I can't erase it. Fortunately, with their help, we can keep the blood demon ancestor. She was indeed very nervous at that time, but now, when she thinks about that period, she just thinks it was quite fun. Unfortunately, not long after they returned, their Tiantian temple was robbed by the hateful robber cultivators. Chu Yuheng and Gong Luoyu became very interested after hearing this. So these two kids are stronger than you. Li Meyerajin had a strange look on her face and nodded somewhat awkwardly, admitting that she was no better than a 3-year-old child. Although Blood Demon Ancestor was exhausted when he fought with me, he was still no match for them. Therefore, the two children must be at the spiritual transformation realm. God transformation realm. He's not a match for one round. Chu Yuheng and Gong Luoyu actually had some guesses, but when they heard Li Meyerajin's confirmation, they were still extremely shocked. A 3-year-old child is a powerful person in the spiritual transformation realm. Even more powerful than them. What does this mean? Junior sister, if you say so, then we are even more interested in these two little Taoist friends. Mentioning Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao eased the originally tense and angry atmosphere a lot. Li Meyerajin smiled more. They are indeed very cute and very interesting. It's so funny that they even measured her size. Chu Yuheng was a little bit unbelievable. It's hard to imagine what kind of people their parents are. Maybe he is a powerful cultivator who lives in seclusion, Gong Luoyu guessed. There are monks like this who do not pursue fame and fortune. Li Maoajin felt distressed. Maybe, but it's a pity that their parents are not with them. Not around, Chu Yuheng was stunned. So these two little guys live on their own? Gong Luoyu was speechless. What kind of parents are so careless? But considering that the two young Taoist friends are even stronger than them, they are just worrying too much. Li Maoajin did not deny it. Indeed, maybe there was something unexpected happening to their parents. The two nodded in agreement, but still felt that their parents were a little unreliable. Gong Luoyu suddenly smiled and said, "Junior sister, it seems that you like those two little guys very much. You are emitting maternal instincts all over your body. This is not normal. You are still a virgin." Li Maoajin's eyes widened. "Second senior sister, you're making fun of me again. I just feel sorry for them. A baby that is powerful, interesting, and cute. Who wouldn't like it? Mainly because her size was also taken away." Chu Yuheng could understand it. After all, the two little guys helped their junior sister a lot. It sounded a little shocking, but it was true. He smiled and said, "Then junior sister, if you have time, you can go spend more time with them." "That's right, senior sister," Li Maoajin nodded. "While their parents are away, they can. It's been a bit annoying lately, but I heard that the two little Taoist friends are in a good mood." As he said that, Gong Luoyu took off his Taoist robe and walked towards the pool next to him. Chu Yuheng and Li Maoajin were speechless when they looked at Gong Luoyu's figure. She took off her clothes without saying a word. But they've gotten used to it. Then he untied his Taoist robe, let it fall lightly to the ground, and walked towards the pool. It's been really annoying lately, and they should take a bath to wash away their worries. Gong Luoyu's eyes suddenly lit up. "Junior sister, yours is so big." Upon hearing this, Li Maoajin immediately remembered that her size had been measured off. She immediately used her long black hair to cover it up a bit. "Second senior sister, you are not serious again." Gong Luoyu didn't care. She looked down and said, "Mine isn't small either. Come on, junior sister, let's compare whose is longer." As they were competing, they started splashing water on each other. Senior sister Chu Yuheng seemed extremely steady. She just watched her two junior sisters playing quietly and had no intention of joining in. Let them relax if they want. Since the abbot is not here, they are the ones who have to take care of the entire Tiantian temple, so it is inevitable that they feel some pressure. Suddenly, a splash of water fell on her head, and she looked like a lotus emerging from the water. Gong Luoyu, Fairyland, in Zia Jiao's secret retreat. When some people feel sorry for their two children, the parents are still sticking together. After completing the mission, the couple returned to Chaos and Xianzong and obtained some resources, then returned here. In short, no matter where they go, they are alone as a couple, and it all depends on how they play. Chen Jun looked at the pile of rare resources in front of him and fell into deep thought. "Madam, is the reward for completing the sect mission of Chaos and Xianzong so generous? It seems that Chaos and Xianzong has suffered a huge loss. If it continues like this, it will only be emptied out. Is it owned by your wife? Then just pretend he didn't say anything." Zia Jiao also pondered for a moment, then looked up and smiled. "Of course, husband, wiping out the hidden demons is a great achievement. It's well worth the value of these resources. Also, the Thunder Ancient Tree Sect also gave me a reward. Now it's all for you, husband Tilda." She even blinked her eyes. It was very easy to fool her husband anyway. Chen Jun was speechless for a moment. This was really a great profit. He smiled and said, "Madam, are you sure you don't need them? Many of these things are also useful to you. It would not be appropriate for you to give them all to me." "He doesn't want to eat free rice," Zia Jiao said directly. "Husband, I don't need it. You need these resources more than I do to consolidate your foundation and cultivation. Besides, you contributed more, and it's all thanks to you, my husband. And what's mine is yours, so there's nothing inappropriate about it. Just rest assured and improve your strength." She had been very careful to take her husband's self-esteem into consideration, and even went through a lot of trouble. Otherwise, she would have been able to take out most of the Jidao Imperial Palace. And soon, the Jidao Imperial Palace will take action to deal with the Huangdi Palace. That means taking the initiative to attack. They would be separated for a while, and the consequences were unpredictable. She had to first give her husband a treat before that, so she could feel at ease. Chapter 40, Madam eats melon, husband eats melon. Since his wife said so, Chen Jun could only nod repeatedly. "Okay." I drank this bowl of soft rice with tears. Then he pretended to thank the Chaosian Immortal sect and said, "Madam, your Chaosian Immortal sect treats its disciples very well." Of course, seeing her husband accept it, Zia Jiao smiled slightly. "By the way, my dear husband, the Chaosian Immortal sect also gave us some food." As she spoke, she took out some things. "Since my husband said that the Chaosian Immortal sect is good, why not make it even better? Don't be polite to her." Chen Junai cooperated with joy and asked, "Madam, what's this?" "Husband, these are some fairy fruits that can whet our appetite." As she said that, Zia Jiao handed the fairy fruits to Chen Junai. "Hey, husband, do you want to try it?" She continued to trick her husband into living off her. They were just a bunch of fruit-like things, and her husband probably wouldn't recognize them or ask too many questions. Not to mention that her husband was new to the fairyland and definitely didn't know anything. Chen Junai smiled. "Madam, I'll go cut a fruit plate." Then he took the pile of fairy fruits and sighed inwardly. Madam is still very rich. Although these immortal fruits look similar to ordinary fruits, they are definitely not something that ordinary immortals can taste. For example, the ancient peaches, ginseng fairy fruit, crystal bodhi, 9-colored flower lotus fruit. It can be said that the value of this fairy fruit far exceeds the resources given to him by his wife. "Then my husband, I'll wait for you." Zia Jiao held her chin and looked at Chen Junai, looking lazy and waiting to be fed. I thought to myself, my husband has indeed been fooled by her. Okay, Chen Junai quickly went to deal with the fairy fruit. Soon he came back with a huge plate in his hand. "Ma'am, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." Zia Jiao was stunned when she saw this. "Husband, such a big fruit plate, someone who didn't know would think you lifted the table." "Really?" Chen Junai pretended not to know, but his wife's comments on him were so cute. "Anyway, this big plate of fairy fruit is used to trick the lady." Then he smiled and said, "Don't mind, madam. Come and taste the flavor of this fairy fruit first." Pub put a large fruit plate in front of them. Zia Jiao stared at the large fruit plate, feeling a little confused. "Husband, there are more kinds of fairy fruits." She had clearly given her husband more than 10 kinds of extremely rare fairy fruits, but she didn't expect her husband to deal with them all at once. Of course, this was not the point. She didn't care as long as her husband was happy. The point is that the number of types has obviously increased to dozens. There were also some magical fruits that she had never seen before. Chen Junai nodded. "Madam, I also collected some fairy fruits to stimulate my appetite. It's just right for us to process them together. Come, ma'am, eat some melon." Then he took a piece of honeydew melon and put it to Zia Jiao's lips. Zia Jiao took a look at it, feeling a little suspicious. How come she had never seen this melon before? Then she thought that maybe her husband had just picked it somewhere. Anyway, given her level, the more common the immortal fruit, the less likely she had seen it. This was normal after all, her strength did not allow it. "Husband, eat the melon." Then she picked up a piece of melon and put it to Chen Junai's mouth. "Let your husband eat first." Chen Junai felt warm inside. His wife was really consolidating his status as a father all the time. He took a bite decisively and said, "Madam, you try it too." Zia Jiao then took a bite and was surprised. "Husband, this melon is very sweet. I didn't expect that ordinary fairy fruit could be so delicious. And with the pure spiritual power entering my mouth, it was extremely refreshing. Since Madam likes it, please eat more." Chen Junai smiled. "Isn't it sweet? This melon is one he has treasured for years. It's called Starry Sky Honey Fruit. Although the name doesn't sound impressive, this melon grows in the starry sky and is extremely rare. Husband, I like it." Maybe it was because of eating the melon that Zia Jiao became even sweeter. Then she took another bite of the piece her husband had just taken. "As long as my wife likes it." After Chen Junai said this, the couple ate melon together. Then enjoy the delicious food side by side and have a relaxing time. "Husband, this is..." Zia Jiao was dazzled and didn't know what she was tasting. "Madam, this is of course your Beijing Bodhi." Chen Junai began to fool his wife. In fact, this fairy fruit just looks very similar to Beijing Bodhi and is called Daluo Bodhi. After all, there are so many varieties that the lady may not know what to put in her mouth. "Oh, so what's this, husband?" "Madam, this is the fairy fruit I collected, called the golden lotus fruit." Oh. Zia Jiao became confused by the words yours and mine. There were so many types, and some were very similar, so she was too lazy to ask her husband one by one. Then she would look at Chen Junai from time to time, thinking to herself, "My husband has eaten so many rare immortal fruits, which must be of great help to his breakthrough." Chen Junai also looked at Zia Jiao from time to time. He thought to himself, "Madam has eaten so many treasures, which will definitely help her to reach the second level of Immortal Emperor." Suddenly he exclaimed in a very cooperative manner, "Madam, my realm seems to be loosening again." Upon hearing this, Zia Jiao immediately smiled happily. "Husband, congratulations again. It must be the work of her immortal fruit. After all, these immortal fruits are extremely precious. My husband thought they were worthless and ate so many at once." "Madam, could this be the effect of this magical fruit?" Chen Junai exclaimed. Zia Jiao shook her head decisively. "Husband, although these immortal fruits are somewhat useful, they are not so obvious. It must be because of your talent." After she finished speaking, she was stunned for a moment. "Husband, my realm seems to have loosened." Now it was Chen Junai's turn to laugh. "Congratulations, madam. It seems that madam's talent is the reason for such an effect." Zia Jiao was a little shocked. She was the immortal emperor. How could she reach the second level of the immortal emperor realm so easily? And it was as if it was so magical and inexplicable, without anyone noticing. But her perception was correct. It was a sign of a breakthrough. Could it be those magical fruits? No, it's probably what my husband said, that's right. She's quite talented, and she's accumulated enough experience, so she just happened to be able to break through. Blinking her eyes, she suppressed her joy and said, "Husband, do you want to break through to a higher realm?" Chen Junai shook his head and said, "Madam, I just broke through not long ago. There is no need to rush to break through the realm for now. I still need to consolidate a little." "Ma'am, what about you?" Zia Jiao felt that her husband's idea was right, and a breakthrough too quickly was not necessarily a good thing. Then she shook her head in the same way as Chen Junai and said, "Husband, I also need to consolidate a few things. There's no need to rush. The breakthrough of the immortal emperor is no small matter, so she is actually afraid of affecting her husband." "Okay, then we'll try to reach a higher realm later." Chen Junai didn't care. Zia Jiao felt that the power in her body was becoming a little agitated and needed to be calmed down. Said, "Husband, I want to go to the fairy spring pool to bathe Tilda." "Heard." Chen Junai's eyes gradually lit up, and the opportunity to peek back had come. But he still volunteered. "Madam, do you want me to rub your back?" Chapter 41. This is how it should be between husband and wife. Looking at her husband's expectant expression, Zia Jiao couldn't bear to refuse. "But it's not suitable." Then she said, "Husband, I don't want to have my back rubbed." Rubbed. She needed to calm down her strength, as it would obviously not be a good thing if something went wrong at that time. Chen Junai sighed. "What a pity, Madam has missed out on such a professional service." Seeing this, Zia Jiao couldn't help but laugh. "Husband, stop making trouble." Then she kissed Chen Junai to make up for it. "Husband, wait for me obediently." After she finished speaking, a graceful figure swept past in the fragrant breeze, and she ran to bathe in the fairy pool. "Madam, I'll wait for you." Chen Junai looked at the slim figure and followed her to take a peek in a dishonest manner. He hasn't forgotten what happened last time. Not long. Zia Jiao took off her clothes and stepped gently into the fairy pool. "Calm the restless power in your body." She was extremely surprised by the loosening of her realm this time. It can be said that I never expected it to happen so suddenly. But it was also a huge surprise. And if she wanted to reach the second level of the immortal emperor, she would need to go to the Jidao Imperial Palace. A breakthrough here would inevitably hit her husband's self-esteem. Well, that's it. Suddenly, she sensed Chen Junai's presence and immediately looked in one direction. At this time, in a secluded place, Chen Junai was hiding here dishonestly. Watching his wife bathing, he also felt happy. As expected, my wife is still the most pleasing to the eyes. I can never get tired of looking at her. Not to mention that during this period of time, the couple were inseparable and basically never out of each other's sight for too long. As a husband, it is perfectly legal to peek at your wife taking a bath. As for the fact that his wife had discovered his presence, he wasn't surprised. He had done it on purpose for her to see. Otherwise, even if the lady was seen naked by him, she would not be able to detect his existence. Chen Junai couldn't help but smile. With the help of those immortal fruits, it shouldn't be difficult for Madam to break through to the second level of immortal emperor. As he watched, Chen Junai felt that this was not satisfying enough. He simply took the large fruit plate and ate the fairy fruit while watching his wife taking a bath. Zia Jiao, who was bathing in the fairy pool, pouted proudly. It turns out that her husband is still not honest. He actually ran after her. "Do you think you can avoid being caught by using a little trick to hide somewhere and peek?" She immediately discovered where her husband was hiding. This situation and scene are inexplicably familiar. Then she smiled slightly and didn't care. Let her husband peek at her. Anyway, she had also peeked at her husband last time, so their behavior was very much like that of a couple, and they were connected in heart. Otherwise, she would just casually set up a barrier, and her husband would have to be turned away in frustration. In order not to upset her husband, she could only pretend not to see it. Suddenly, she discovered that her husband not only peeked at her, but also ate the magic fruit. Damn it! Her pretty face immediately turned red. This feeling was like a kind of appreciation, which made her very embarrassed. I felt very shy for a moment. What else could she do? I can only pretend that I didn't notice my husband. Not long, Zia Jiao finished bathing, and the restless power in her body was temporarily suppressed. Husband. After meeting Chen Zhanai, she continued to pretend to be ignorant and remained calm. But when she found out that her husband was also acting for her without knowing it, she was still at a loss whether to laugh or cry. The child's father is so hateful, he doesn't even feel guilty. Madam, are you comfortable? Chen Zhanai asked, pretending that he had not peeked. Of course it's comfortable, Zia Jiao said, and her slender body softened and she leaned into Chen Zhanai's arms. Then she continued, Husband, let's rest early. At the same time, his big eyes stared at Chen Zhanai's profile with some anticipation. Chen Zhanai was holding the soft and delicate body and was stunned for a moment. After reacting, he leaned over to Zia Jiao's ear and teased, Madam, why are you so proactive today? He understood the hidden meaning of his wife's words. At the same time, the look in his eyes as he stared at Zia Jiao became increasingly gentle and loving. Zia Jiao was unable to speak, and while shyly burying her head in Chen Zhanai, she said unconvincedly, Husband, you can't always take the initiative, right? That's how it should be between husband and wife. Try hard to find excuses for yourself. She would be taking care of something important later, so they would be separated for a while. If they succeeded, they could go see Yuaner and Hayar without any burden and without worrying about bringing trouble to the two children. If they failed, there would be endless troubles, and it might even completely ignite the conflict between the Jidao Imperial Palace and the Huangdi Palace, leading to a war. By then, she didn't know how long it would take for her to see Yuaner and Hayar again. She couldn't be sure. So it is reasonable to make amends to my husband for the sake of our two children. But my husband is so abominable. It would be enough for him to just know what she means, but he has to say it out loud to tease her. Humph. My wife taught me that. Chen Zhanai didn't dare to laugh anymore and said seriously, This is how it should be between husband and wife. Looking at the child's mother who was so shy because of his teasing, he felt a surge of pity for her. This was the first time. Otherwise, he had always taken the initiative to tease the child's mother, so he couldn't help but want to tease her. It's good that my husband knows he is wrong, Zia Jiao said righteously, and then quickly kissed Chen Zhan's lips. Then she looked quite shy and embarrassed, not daring to look up but also quite proactive, and pulled Chen Zhanai towards their little house. At this moment, Chen Zhanai actually saw two faces on his wife. What else can he do? I could only smile and obey my wife obediently, just like the first time. But the lady was shy, so he couldn't continue teasing her. Banged. Close the door first. Tilda. The Imperial Palace of Jidao. Leng Jushuang didn't know what Zia Jiao was busy with recently, and she often left the Jidao Imperial Palace. Rarely even come back. It's already such a critical moment, but there's still no sign of him, which makes her think too much. But Zia Jiao is also an immortal emperor, so she is not too worried about Zia Jiao's safety. Let her be, maybe she is practicing in seclusion. Leng Jushuang looked in one direction, desolate Emperor Palace. They had already discussed that they had to do something. They couldn't just sit there and wait for death, and they couldn't keep being stared at like this, otherwise it would be extremely uncomfortable. The best way is to eliminate the Fusion Holy Land, which is just watching the fun, and then concentrate on dealing with the Huangdi Palace. But if anything goes wrong when dealing with the Fusion Holy Land, it will be their Jidao Imperial Palace that will be weakened, and then they will be unable to do anything to the Huang Emperor Palace. So in the end, it was decided to directly deal with the source of the problem, the Huangdi Palace. As long as we can hit the Huangdi Palace's sore spot before the Fusion Holy Land can react, I believe the Huangdi Palace will think twice. It would be best if we could injure Dai Jun unexpectedly. It is almost impossible to kill Dai Jun. It will be soon, Leng Jushuang murmured. When the time comes, Zia Jiao will come back, and somewhere in the Jishiandao immortal realm, the clone of Emperor Jun's will descend it here, the Imperial Palace of Extreme Dao. Leng Jushuang is too powerful. There is no need to provoke her directly. He is now looking for Zia Jiao's weakness. Chapter 42. Wash the little master and you can still have him. Dai Jun looked in the direction of Jidao Imperial Palace. If nothing unexpected happens, Zia Jiao will be in the Jidao Imperial Palace. He stood with his hands behind his back, his eyes flickering slightly. For the sake of the Emperor's son and the prosperity of the desolate Emperor Palace, this trip must yield results. As long as Leng Jushuang doesn't notice, Zia Jiao will definitely not be his opponent. Of course, what he should do now is not to capture Zia Jiao by force. He will not do so unless he has no other choice. Otherwise, the Jidao Imperial Palace may very likely turn against the Huangdi Palace and fight to the death, which will not be worth the loss. He only needs to follow Zia Jiao, and he will definitely be able to find her real weakness. I don't believe she has no fatal weakness. Therefore, only by achieving the goal can the benefits be maximized, but it will relatively waste some time and be full of unknowns. As for Emperor Bai Yuan's dealing with the Su family behind Su Qingsu, it was just a minor weakness. Its significance might not be useful to an immortal emperor. So in order to ensure that everything goes smoothly, he, the Hall Master, also took action personally. If this succeeds, there will be nothing to worry about. Thinking of this, Dai Jun hid himself. He didn't want to waste too much time and effort on the marriage. If it were a favored daughter from another faction, the marriage would have been completed long ago, without the headache and trouble. But now only Zia Jiao is not allowed. As long as Bai Yuan could capture Zia Jiao, everything would be settled on its own. Because even if the Jidao Imperial Palace was still unhappy with them, it would be useless. After all, after Bai Yuan and Zia Jiao practiced dual cultivation, with the nurturing of the exquisite immortal body, it meant the rise of the Huangdi Palace. Bai Yuan will become even more powerful. Zia Jiao of the Jidao Imperial Palace cannot stop Bai Yuan from rising again. We must take her down as soon as possible before Zia Jiao grows to a point where she is difficult to deal with. Otherwise, given their past and present conflicts, Bai Yuan would be unable to become stronger due to his trauma, while Zia Jiao would be able to continue to grow. Then one day, the Jidao Imperial Palace would completely attack their desolate Imperial Palace. That was too late, and it was definitely not what he, the Palace Master, wanted to see. So it was also for the sake of the desolate Emperor Palace. He had no choice. Of course, it would be even better if Zia Jiao could give birth to a child for Bai Yuan. On the one hand, with children, Zia Jiao would be more considerate even if she was unwilling, which also meant that the Jidao Imperial Palace would also be more considerate, which might save trouble. Secondly, the Huangdi Palace is willing to train their offspring. Maybe soon, maybe a long time. Dai Jun didn't know whether he could find Zia Jiao's fatal weakness, but now he could only wait for Zia Jiao to appear. As long as Zia Jiao leaves the Jidao Imperial Palace, she will inevitably be discovered by him. The lower world, the ancient continent. In the Pure Valley, "Sister, we have learned how to make elixirs." Chen Zihao jumped excitedly while holding an alchemy furnace. However, his face was a little black, his body was dirty, and one of his shoes was missing. He looked extremely embarrassed, and it was obvious that he had experienced several furnace explosions. Chen Ziyuan took a bunch of talismans and smiled happily. "Yes, Zia Ohao, we have learned how to make talismans too." Her long hair was puffy and even had a tendency to explode upwards. One of her sleeves was missing. Obviously, she had also had an accident. But this does not affect their beautiful mood at the moment. Yeah, high five. Boom, boom, boom. They were now very familiar with their own strength, and could conceal their cultivation and control it with ease, which naturally helped them in alchemy and talisman making. Qilin looked at his two little masters, whose teeth were extremely white, and whose bodies looked like they had just experienced a life and death battle, and fell silent. Can the little master still keep this? Hey Tilder, I shuddered all over. Yes, I can have it, of course I can have it. After washing it, I can still have it. The owner will still recognize them when he comes back. Zioju, Ziok, Zioli, and Ziodi lined up in a row, each of them feeling deeply shocked. It's only been a few days, and the young master has already learned how to make pills and talismans. Although the pills and talismans refined by the young master are not the top-level holy or imperial products, but relatively low grade, they still seem to be quite powerful. It's hard to imagine how the young master and his friends can do it so easily. Don't many humans say that it's difficult to get started in this area? Incredible. Then they also started to whisper and gossip. Perhaps the young master is born with very strong mental strength. That's right. Humans need a huge amount of mental energy to refine pills and create talismans. Otherwise, they can't afford it. Look at them transforming their spiritual energy into fire. Controlling the fire is as easy as playing. As long as their mental strength is strong enough, it will be easy enough. It's just that they lack some experience, otherwise they wouldn't be so dark. It's difficult to get started, perhaps it's relative to who you are. In terms of foundation and talent, there's no comparison. The monsters were speechless. When humans are compared to animals, they will become angry. Think about it, they were just captured to be used as vases. Forget it, just be beautiful on your own. The alchemy furnace that Chen Zihao was holding was an immortal furnace. To suit his age, it can be expanded or reduced at will. So this immortal furnace now looks extremely mini and cute. Sister, Daddy's immortal furnace is very useful, but why are the pills we refined so small? Chen Zihao was puzzled as he held a pill they refined. It seemed to be several times smaller than the pills Daddy had given them, the size of a bean. I don't know which process went wrong, causing the pill to shrink. Chen Ziyuan smiled, showing his white teeth, and comforted him. Zyro, how? Maybe it's because we are young, so the pills we refine are smaller. As long as the effect of the pills is the same, it's fine. Hey, the talisman is also this small. The talisman in her hand was about the same size as her small palm, and it was obviously shrunk. Yes, as long as the power is the same. Chen Zihao didn't care about it. Qilin was speechless, thinking to himself, isn't this controlled by you? It's obvious that you refined it according to your own proportions. But it wants to wash its two little masters more. Otherwise, the masters will beat it when they come back. Sister, let's quickly try the elixir we made. Okay. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao became excited, but then they became troubled. Who should I look for? After saying that, they all looked at the four monsters. Zioju, Zyok, Zyoli, and Zyodi suddenly became panicked. Is it edible? Is it poisonous? I silently said to myself, you can't see us, you can't see us. But I heard, Zioju, Zyok, Zyoli, Zyodi, do you want to try our medicine? This is made using Daddy's recipe. It will definitely be useful to you. After Chen Ziyuan ran over, he rubbed the heads of the four monsters with his little hands to comfort them, hoping that they could try the pills. The four monsters were speechless. Still saw them. The little master is going to start messing with them again. Then he looked at the mini pills and fell into deep thought. Okay, little master. Eat, you must eat. If you don't eat, you're not giving face to the little master, and all the hard work of the little master these days will be wasted. The main thing is that there's no shortage of medicinal herbs here, and the herbs used by the young master can't be wasted. How poisonous can it be? Then the beast decisively swallowed a pill and waited quietly for its fate to come. How does it taste? The two little ones were extremely excited. Qilin was speechless. What kind of herbs did the young master use? Top-notch quality, even dogs would benefit from them. As for the taste, that's not clear. It wants to wash its two little masters more. In just a moment, the aura of the four monsters began to surge. Both of them were deeply moved. No poison. We're not dead. The realm has begun to break through. Thank you, young master, for not killing me. Why should we kill you? Yes, we don't want to eat you. We like to eat roasted pork, roasted lamb, roasted rabbit, roasted chicken. The two little ones were extremely puzzled and looked confused. The four monsters quickly nudged Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. Young master, we were just joking. Oh, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao didn't care. Sister, our pills are effective. Yes, Zioho, let's try our talismans next. As soon as they finished speaking, they seemed to realize something. Zioho, it seems someone has fallen into our formation again. Sister, let's go take a look. It's a good opportunity to try out our talismans. After saying that, the two kids activated the talismans in their hands. Wind talisman. He ran out whoosh whoosh. Seeing this, Qilin still wanted to wash his two little masters. Chapter 43. My God, where did you go to fight? Outside the Pure World Valley. In the formation group, Li Mayajan and Gong Loyu looked extremely solemn. Junior sister, we are trapped in the formation. Gong Loyu was a little shocked. They were trapped in the formation without realizing it, which shows that the person who set up the formation is very powerful, and the formation must be very good. Li Mayajan guessed. Senior sister, this might be the formation set up by Ziyuan and Zihao's father to protect them. She was afraid that Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao would come looking for her, so she wanted to tell them not to run around. She also wanted to check on the two children. After all, there are robbers nearby, so it is inevitable to worry. Gong Loyu was very curious about the two children, so she followed her. Unexpectedly, they were trapped by the formation as soon as they arrived. Gong Loyu naturally had some guesses. No matter what, let's break the formation first. Li Mayajan did not dare to be careless at all, and nodded in agreement. After instructing Chen Ziyuan, Chen Zihao, and the others, they had to go back quickly and not waste too much time here. I can only say sorry for breaking the formation first. At the same time, many phantoms of weapons appeared in front of them, carrying a murderous aura, which made them frightened again. Gong Luoyu felt the murderous aura. Her delicate body trembled and her heart was shaking. This is a heavenly formation. It seems that Ziyuan and Zihao's father have profound attainments in formations. Li Mairajan exclaimed. Formations are divided into yellow rank, mysterious rank, earth rank, heaven rank, holy rank, and emperor rank. It should be noted that heaven rank masters are extremely rare. As soon as the words fell, endless weapons above their heads rushed towards them. Seeing this, Gong Luoyu and Li Mairajan immediately grabbed their swords to resist. It is not clear whether the formation can be broken, but it is unfair for them to be trapped here. Boom, boom, boom. Just one confrontation made their faces change drastically, their blood boiling, and they retreated repeatedly. Not good. If this continues, they won't be able to withstand the power of this killing array. Beautiful sister, it's you. Suddenly, a childish cry rang in their ears, and then the endless weapons began to dissipate. Seeing this, Gong Luoyu and Li Mairajan were both stunned. The power of the formation was taken back. Ziyuan, Ziha. At the same time, I breathed a sigh of relief. But was this formation controlled by two children? Perhaps their father had left them some means of controlling the formation. I didn't think much about it. The next moment, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao appeared. Smiling, beautiful sister, why are you here? Huh, there's another fairy sister. Chen Zihao didn't recognize Gong Luoyu, but he felt that Gong Luoyu was like a fairy, as beautiful as Zioju and the others. Puff, fairy sister. Li Mairajan almost laughed out loud, and then she was stunned when she saw Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. Ziyuan and Zihao, what are you doing? Where did you go to fight? Oh my God. Gong Luoyu was also amused by the call of fairy sister. But when I saw the looks of the two little Taoist friends, I almost died of laughter. In any case, as long as we don't get trapped in the formation, there will be no problem. Chen Ziyuan didn't care at all. Beautiful sister. We are refining pills and making talismans. Yes, beautiful sister, we succeeded. Chen Zihao touched his black nose. Alchemy, talisman making. Does that mean your furnace exploded? Li Mairajan was extremely surprised. The two kids actually tinkered with this thing by themselves. No wonder it turned out like this. I was at a loss whether to laugh or cry for a moment. Gong Luoyu was speechless. What a worrying little Taoist friend. How dare you play this? You succeeded. That's really impressive. It didn't look like a success, did it? But for the sake of being called fairy sister, she had to encourage her. Although it was a bit strange, she liked the name and she couldn't argue with the two children. Of course, although there were some unexpected things, we succeeded. Chen Zihao said proudly. Sister Fairy, we set up this formation. Isn't it amazing? Did you arrange this? Gong Luoyu and Li Mairajan were both shocked. Tell them that such a powerful formation was the work of two children. I thought it was their father. Yes, yes. Chen Ziyuan also looked like he was asking for praise. Besides this, there are many other formations. Gong Luoyu and Li Mairajan looked at each other and were hit again. So could they have succeeded in refining pills and talismans? Even if they succeeded, it would probably only be at the entry level, right? But after experiencing the power of this killing array, the pills and talismans they refined. I can't even imagine it. I see. Li Mairajan collected her thoughts and started talking about business. She said seriously, Ziyuan and Zihao, I'm here to remind you that a tribulation cultivator has appeared recently. Don't run around and don't go to Tianyan Temple. Robbery cultivator? Chen Ziyuan didn't quite understand. Chen Zihao was also confused. What is a robbery cultivator? The robbers are bad guys who will rob you all. Gong Luoyu threatened in an exaggerated manner. So you two little Taoist friends must listen to your beautiful sister. It may be strange to say that they are not as strong as the two little ones, and they still have to remind them and worry about them. But there is no other way. Heard. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao both remembered the group of bad guys from before. Beautiful sister, fairy sister, we get it. But we also taught a group of bad guys a lesson before. They also said they would go to Tianyan Temple to rob you and asked you to warm their beds. What? Li Mairajan and Gong Luoyu were furious. Someone actually wanted them to warm the bed. But what shocked them even more was that it sounded like the group of calamity cultivators had actually been here. Ziyuan and Zihao, so you have already met them. That's right, they robbed a lot of forces. Chen Zihao looked righteous, but they were driven away by our formation. Upon hearing this, Li Mayajan and Gong Loyu could basically conclude that the guys that Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao chased away were the group of robbery cultivators. The calamity cultivator who had caused such a disturbance in their Tiantian temple before. Then you guys are amazing. What was speechless was that they had no way to deal with that group of robber cultivators and were actually beaten up by 2 children. It's a pity that the group of robbery cultivators ran away, otherwise. Would you still want them to warm your bed? I have to chop it off to vent my anger. My 2 little Taoist friends, let us sisters wash your bodies. Gong Loyu's mood suddenly became better, because these 2 little Taoist friends helped them vent their anger. The more I watch, the more I like it. While their parents are not around, wash them properly and you can still keep them. Okay. As they were talking, they left the formation. However, not far away, a group of robbery cultivators appeared again, and they all looked confused. Where is this? Looking around, we weren't teleported away. Jiang Sha's mentality collapsed again. No, we teleported right where we are. I wasted so much time, only to be teleported a centimeter. Chapter 44. Teleporting on the spot is equivalent to sending. Teleport on the spot. A group of robbery cultivators were so angry that they cursed. They thought it was a random teleportation, and were so scared that they burned incense, prayed to Buddha and kowtowed these days, just hoping to be teleported to a safe place where they could save their lives. As a result, the teleportation array they had spent so much time and effort to set up wasted several days, only for them to go around in circles in the teleportation array and teleport on the spot. Scare them. Outrageous, this is a blatant mockery of us. Everyone was so angry that their teeth were itching, not to mention that it was 2 little brats who did it. The cultivation world is too treacherous. Generally speaking, using a teleportation array requires paying spirit stones. If 2 little brats are allowed to handle the teleportation business, they are simply too heartless. I breathed a sigh of relief after I realized what was happening. Fortunately, I'll just teleport to the same spot. At least I'm not teleporting to a dangerous place. This was the only news that could make them feel better. But since we haven't left yet, we can't just let this go. We must capture these 2 little brats. Otherwise, if they play tricks on us like this, what will become of our reputation as robbery cultivators? That makes sense. A group of robbery cultivators were once again filled with righteous indignation. Their emotions were changing back and forth, with great ups and downs. Even those with weak hearts could not bear it. Humph, they are unlucky to have encountered us robbers. Everyone's eyes flickered. They thought that if they could teleport away, they would not bother with the 2 little brats. Now it seemed that God would not let them let the 2 little brats go. Jiang Sha held back his anger and urgently needed to vent out his explosive emotions. This matter is definitely not over. No one can stop him. But at this moment, bad guys, why are you back again? Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao, who were about to let the pretty sister give them a bath, were stunned when they found that the group of bad guys appeared again. They were clearly teleported away. When Li Mayajan and Gong Loyu saw this group of tribulation cultivators, their expressions became extremely solemn. It's you guys. Then he immediately protected Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao behind him. Among this group of tribulation cultivators, there is a powerful god transformation cultivator. Didn't they say they were chased away by the 2 kids? Why did they appear again? What's going on? Many tribulation cultivators also discovered Li Mayajan and the others, and their expressions changed slightly. Suddenly, I saw the appearance of Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, you 2 little brats, you have come to this day. Awesome, so awesome. They felt particularly refreshed when they saw the 2 little brats looking so miserable after being beaten. Jiang Sha's eyes were fierce. You 2 little brats, you actually used the teleportation array to play tricks on us. Today, let's see how you can hide from this. Then he looked at Li Mayajan and Gong Loyu and was slightly surprised. Could it be that Tiantian Temple wants to protect them? Although he suffered backlash for using the sacrifice method before, there were only 2 disciples of Tiantian Temple, so it was not enough for them to take it too seriously. Faced with the merciless ridicule, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao puffed up their cheeks in anger. Damn it, they actually laughed at them. But they actually created a teleportation array. For a moment, he scratched his head in embarrassment, feeling extremely depressed. Teleport on the spot. Li Mayajan and Gong Loyu's expressions turned strange. I wonder what this group of cultivators have experienced. But he didn't bother to think too much and said coldly, You have invaded Tiantian Temple. You have not yet avenged this vengeance, and yet you still dare to threaten us. You are simply dreaming. How shameless, actually making things difficult for two children. Gong Loyu was extremely unhappy. But when I went out, I never thought that I would see this group of disgusting robbery cultivators again, and it turned out to be like this. Hearing this, Jiang Sha was too lazy to talk nonsense. In that case, I'll deal with you all together. He went straight towards Gong Loyu and Li Meyerajin. As long as he captured the disciples of Tiantian Temple, what kind of waves could those two little brats cause? The other tribulation cultivators were furious. They were trying to make things difficult for the two children. Open your eyes and see who was making things difficult for whom. They were the victims. At the same time, they also rushed towards Li Meyerajin and Gong Luo Yue. Humph, since Tiantian Temple is meddling in your affairs, don't blame us for being ruthless. These breasts, these figures, wow, I'll take you away and warm your bed with you, you're so beautiful. They have been feeling depressed for so long and really need to vent their emotions. Otherwise, it will be a trauma for their whole life, and they won't be able to sleep when they think about it. Li Meyerajin and Gong Loyu did not dare to be careless at all, and they could also notice that Jiang Sha seemed to be a little traumatized. It may be the result of the formation set up by the two children. Then we can fight now. Court death, how dare you tease them? When enemies meet, they are especially jealous of each other. He immediately went forward with his sword in hand. Boom, 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 boom. It is impossible for Li Meyerajin and Gong Loyu to be without pressure. After all, the other party has more people and more power, and two fists cannot beat four hands. It is definitely not a good idea to continue like this. But Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao were of course not convinced. Don't even think about bullying the pretty sister, the goblin sister. Zyro Hao, it's a good time to try out our talismans. As they spoke, the two kids took out a bunch of talismans and surrounded them. Without saying a word, he used his spiritual power to activate it. Go Sky-Splitting Talisman, Thunder Talisman, Fire Talisman, Calamity Talisman, Berserk Talisman, Sky Blasting Talisman. It looked very professional, and he threw it all over. As if it was free without any regret. They made it themselves, so it wasn't a waste of money for Daddy. Sensing the power of the many talismans, Li Meyerajin and Gong Loyu, who were under tremendous pressure, were stunned and quickly stepped back. A look of shock on his face. Could it be that this was all the work of two children? Not good. The faces of many tribulation cultivators changed drastically. It's a powerful talisman. At least it's at the Earth rank level. I'm vomiting blood. These two little brats are really going too far. Using formations to bully them was fine, but now they're even using so many talismans to hit them. As expected, he still has some family background. This further strengthened their determination to rob the parents of the two little brats. Boom, boom, boom. Wherever the talisman went, thunder descended and fire burned, forming a battle scene like a cultivator undergoing a tribulation, filled with bursts of violent aura. This forced many tribulation cultivators to retreat one after another. Good opportunity. Li Meyerajin took the opportunity to kill. Gong Loyu followed closely behind. If we don't act now, when will we act? Boom, boom, boom. With just a few sword strikes, several robbery cultivators were killed. In order not to scare the two children, they could only use all their strength, preferably without bloodshed, to turn these tribulation cultivators into ashes. Seeing this, the other tribulation cultivators were all panicked. While dodging and resisting the talismans, they also had to be on guard against Li Meyerajin and Gong Loyu. It was extremely painful for a while. They cursed it in their hearts. They had used up too many of their trump cards in dealing with those formations before, so now they were in such a dilemma and couldn't use them anymore. The thought of it made them so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Moreover, they could still deal with a few talismans, but with so many of them, it was simply impossible to defend against them. Jiang Sha was caught off guard and was also shaken away by the talisman. When he saw this scene, his face was so gloomy that blood seemed to be dripping from it. He must kill the disciples of Tiantian Temple. Court death. With a loud shout, power exploded. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. Even if he was injured, he is still no match for a Tianyuan realm cultivator. Li Meyerajin and Gong Loyu both sensed the murderous intent and felt a chill down their spines. But at this moment, transfer talisman. Chapter 45, you can kill us instantly, but you insist on using talismans to blow us up. With the strength of the two little ones, Jiang Sha's actions certainly could not be hidden from their insight. But he couldn't help but panic and threw out a talisman in a hurry. The next moment, Jiang Sha made a big move directly and crushed a robbery cultivator with one hand. He suddenly became even more furious. "Kids, you've completely pissed me off," he roared and changed his target. "These two little brats must be dealt with. Otherwise, it will make people angry to death. Ziyuan and Zihao, be careful." Li Mayajan, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, felt her heart tighten again when she saw this. Although the two children were powerful, they had never killed anyone. Facing a murderer like Jiang Sha, how could she not be anxious? At the same time, go and intercept. Gong Luoyu went behind Jiang Sha to attract his attention and distract him. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao had indeed never seen such a scene before. The bad guy's aura was so terrifying that it scared them. Control talisman. Without saying a word, he quickly threw the talismans, throwing away whatever he could catch. Not good. Seeing this, Jiang Sha naturally wanted to dodge, but he found that he couldn't dodge and his heart was filled with shock. The next moment, he was restrained by the power of a talisman. His body was unable to move as if it was being controlled, and then he fell directly to the ground. Seeing such a scene, Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao's hearts were pounding, and then they became excited. "Xiao Hao, our talismans are useful." "Yes, sister, the talismans we made are amazing." Seeing this, Li Mayajan and Gong Luoyu finally let go of their worries. Otherwise, they would have easily developed high blood pressure. In addition to their cultivation, the talismans of the two children can also pose a threat to Jiang Sha, which is really shocking. Then they surrounded and attacked Jiang Sha as expected. Jiang, whose movements were controlled, vomited blood in murderous anger. "You made the talisman? You're still happy at this time. How outrageous." But it was enough to scare him. There seemed to be something wrong with these two children. They look stupid and clear-eyed. It's just an age thing, but it's actually hidden very deeply. Seeing Li Mayajan and Gong Luoyu rushing towards him, his heart sank. "Wait, I have a hostage. If you don't want him to die, I advise you to think twice before you act," he roared. "The Holy Lord's concubine? That beauty trap is obviously useless in this situation. Then we can only take the only son of Zhang family's ancestor as a hostage." "What hostages?" Li Mayajan and Gong Luoyu were caught off guard. The next moment, Jiang Sha was seen carrying out a baby. Well, despicable." Li Mayajan and Gong Luoyu were both stunned, but their faces were cold. "I didn't expect this group of robbery cultivators to be so unscrupulous, even carrying a baby to save their lives. Who could have thought of this?" "Despicable," Jiang Sha sneered. "It's just to save my life. I don't believe that you, the disciples of Tianyan Temple, can bear to watch a child die for you." The surviving Jai Ziyu felt that he was back on track. The eldest brother finally pulled out his ultimate trump card. "Then don't blame them for being ruthless." Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao's eyes widened. "It's that little brother. You bad guys, you even stole the little brother. Let go of my little brother." As human cubs, they naturally cannot bear to see this scene. Jiang Sha said shamelessly with a cold expression, "HMPH, if you have the guts, save him before I kill him." The other robbery cultivators were extremely confident, and it was obvious that this was impossible, so they immediately moved closer. Li Mayajan and Gong Luoyu were extremely angry, but they didn't dare to gamble. But just when they were anxious, they saw Jiang Sha's eyes began to roll back, and then he slowly fell down. It turned out that Chen Zihao had run over at some point, holding a hammer in his hand. "Bad guy." After attacking Jiang Sha from behind, Chen Zihao did not forget to kick him. The last time Jiang Sha regained consciousness, he felt that he had been attacked on the back of the head for no apparent reason. It seemed that it was done by those two little devils. The other robbery cultivators didn't react in time. They turned around and saw that Jiang Sha had fallen down. They were stunned. "You, the little brat, is so scary. When did you run over here?" However, before they could think about it, they both felt a chill on the back of their heads. "Fainted." These two little devils are so powerful. Why did they play tricks on them? They are simply unwilling to close their eyes in death. After knocking out many tribulation cultivators, Chen Ziyuan was furious. "Humph, bad guys." Then he quickly looked at the baby and said, "Don't be afraid, little brother. Little brother is so cute." However, perhaps because of seeing Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao's explosive hair and dark faces, the baby was frightened and started crying, and the crying became louder and louder. This made Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao very depressed. They were so anxious that they stared at each other in disbelief. I thought to myself, could it be that Dad was like this when he first took care of them? That would be too hard for Dad. We should feel sorry for him. Li Mayajan and Gong Luoyu were stunned when they saw this scene. The two children were so fast. Jiang Sha couldn't even notice it. Considering that Jiang Sha had been traumatized before, it was normal. Jiang Sha got what he wanted, and then his face became extremely cold, and he went to clean up the battlefield without saying a word. Last hit. Boom, boom, boom. After easily destroying a group of tribulation cultivators, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then let the concubine of the Holy Lord take the only son of the Zhang family ancestor back home. This group of robbery cultivators is truly despicable. Not only do they capture women, they also capture babies. Then they found a natural lake to wash Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao. After washing it clean, it is still acceptable. However, the accident that happened today still made them extremely horrified, and they couldn't calm down for a long time. Looking at the two little ones with a smile on his face. Beautiful sister, fairy sister, those bad guys were beaten to death by you. From now on, you won't have to worry about them snatching you away to warm your bed. Chen Ziyuan and Chen Zihao spoke excitedly and full of energy, because this also means that they can go find a sect. Li Mayaajin and Gong Luoyu were offended, but then they didn't care. He smiled and said, "That's all thanks to the help of the two little Taoist friends." "But Ziyuan and Zihao, what are you going to do next?" Li Mayaajin asked curiously. "Because I'm really afraid that the two kids will cause trouble again. They made themselves look so miserable that I always think their parents are so generous." Chen Ziyuan said, "Beautiful sister, we are going to find the sect." Looking for a sect? Li Mayaajin and Gong Luoyu were both stunned. They didn't know what this meant. "That's right, let's go to the most powerful force in Dongzhou, the Nine Saints Temple," Chen Zihao said confidently. "Because they are already very powerful now. I have personally tested it and also looked at the map. It is the most powerful among the 9 holy temples in Dongzhou." Li Mayaajin and Gong Luoyu were speechless. They were not qualified to come into contact with the terrifying force of the Nine Saints Temple, which had many saints and powerful men in charge. I dare not even think about it, but I didn't dare to say anything more about the two little ones. "Then I'll go with you. Just consider it as a thank you to you. I always feel uneasy, and without the hidden danger of robbery, they can leave Tiantian Temple with peace of mind." Okay, pretty sister, fairy sister, let's go to the 9 holy temples together." Then it was happily decided. After staying for some time to rest, they set off for the 9 holy temples. Set off. 9 holy temples, here we come. Fairyland. Chen Zhana and his wife have been living a good life recently. It is really comfortable to be alone in such a peaceful world for two, without being disturbed by anyone. Of course, it's rare for the wife to take the initiative, so it's normal for it to last a little longer and be a little tiring. This day, Zia Jiao said, "Husband, I need to leave for some time." Chapter 46, it's reasonable for me to follow my wife. Of course, Chen Zhana is still a good husband and is considerate of his wife. He smiled and said, "Madam, if you have something to do, go ahead and do it. I will just practice in seclusion here." Seeing her husband so sensible, Zia Jia was reluctant to leave. "Husband, then you should practice here and don't run around. I will be back soon." Chen Zhana hummed, smiling brightly. "Madam, of course. If you don't come back, I will find you even if I go to the ends of the earth." Zia Jiao always felt that her husband had become too clingy recently, and she didn't know what went wrong. Maybe he was worried about her. "Husband, then wait for me." Then, the couple entangled sweetly for a while before officially parting ways. Zia Jiao left. Chen Zhana touched his lips, which still had a fragrance. Thinking about how proactive Madam is, it's obvious that she has some ulterior motives. Maybe it's something rather tricky and she's unwilling to tell him, or maybe she's afraid of getting him into trouble. Even the lady herself may not know what the result will be, as these geniuses will make up for it to him in this way. Since it has come to this and their love affair has been disturbed and they have to separate, then it is time for him, as a husband, to do some small things. Thinking about it, it's time to go meet the palace master of Jidao Imperial Palace. Thinking of this, Chen Zhana got up and went out dishonestly. Look at Leng Jiushuang's attitude towards him. After all, the cause and effect between them are mutual. Madam may bring some trouble to him, and he will also bring some trouble to Madam. He showed up this time to declare his sovereignty. The lady is his. If Palace Master Leng Jiushuang doesn't want the Jidao Imperial Palace to bear some of the consequences of his actions, then he doesn't mind snatching his wife away. Well, let's do it. Zia Jiao left her secret retreat place. Stop and look back. As long as my husband doesn't leave here easily, his safety will not be a big problem. I think with her advice, my husband will not run around and cause trouble, and will definitely stay in seclusion to improve his strength. As for her own safety, although it was somewhat uncertain, it was not difficult to save her life. "Husband, wait for me. Yuan or Hayar is waiting for mother." After turning around, Zia Jiao's expression became extremely determined. She wanted to solve her own problems too much. Of course, stalling for time was also a way to deal with them until she was strong enough, but her children didn't have much time to wait for her. Then he headed towards the Jidao Imperial Palace. It didn't take long. Chen Junai ran out. Come to think of it, following my wife like this doesn't seem quite appropriate. But it makes sense. Besides following his wife, I don't know who else he's following. Chen Junai looked in one direction and murmured, "Madam, I will definitely protect you. Protect Yuaner and Hayar." Suddenly, he seemed to have noticed something, and his expression turned slightly colder. Perhaps some being has entered the Jishiandao, immortal realm. I don't know the other party's purpose. He was too lazy to pay attention, but the aura of such an existence is worthy of his attention. Chen Junai thought for a moment, and decided that it would be better to wait before following his wife. Somewhere, Zia Jiao appears. Daijun, who was hiding, finally smiled after sensing Zia Jiao's breath. Finally, we found Zia Jiao's trace. Just keep an eye on Zia Jiao, and don't believe she has no weaknesses. Then Daijun looked in one direction. Zia Jiao doesn't seem to have appeared from the Jidao Imperial Palace. It's more like returning to the Jidao Imperial Palace, so what exactly did she do? Daijun's eyes moved slightly. He felt that he was very close to finding Zia Jiao's weakness, and that this weakness was enough to threaten Zia Jiao into compromise. Intuition. Then this place must be the one that she cares about. Dijun smiled. Then he disappeared from the spot and went to find out what was going on. Not long, Zia Jiao returned to the Jidao Imperial Palace. Palace Master, Leng Jushuang looked at Zia Jiao and always felt that something was wrong with her recently. Although it looks intact, there are some subtle changes in temperament that are hard to describe. "Jiao, you're back. This means it's time for them to take action." Zia Jiao nodded. "Palace Master, I'm fully prepared to deal with the matter at the desolate Emperor Palace. But recently I have had some unexpected insights. Perhaps I can reach the second level of the Immortal Emperor. Breakthrough in realm." Leng Jushuang was obviously surprised by this unexpected surprise. This also proves that Zia Jiao has indeed been in seclusion recently. Zia Jiao nodded. "Indeed, Palace Master, if time permits, perhaps I can break through the realm and then deal with the desolate Emperor Palace. This will undoubtedly give me more confidence." Her goal is, of course, to deal with Bai Yuan. But Bai Yuan is not weak either. He is even stronger than her. If he breaks through his cultivation level, it will obviously be different. Leng Jushuang naturally understood this principle. The desolate Emperor Palace must also be trying every possible means to achieve their goal. The timeline is not yet determined, but I think it will not be too late. However, are you confident in your ability to reach the second level of the Immortal Emperor realm? Zia Jiao's ability to break through the bottleneck so quickly was something she, the Palace Master, had not expected. In any case, this was a good thing, indicating that Zia Jiao's talent was even stronger than she had imagined. However, the success rate of breaking through the realm is not 100%, and there are many examples of failure. If Zia Jiao is not sure, she should not be impatient. "Palace Master, I am sure." Zia Jiao was determined. Upon hearing this, Leng Jushuang made up his mind. "Okay, in that case, we will wait until you break through to the second level of the Immortal Emperor before taking action. This Palace Master will personally protect you. This is to prevent any accidents from happening when Zia Jiao breaks through her cultivation level. With her personally in charge, it will naturally be much safer." "Thank you, Palace Master." Then, Zia Jiao went to prepare for her own breakthrough in cultivation. The breakthrough of the realm of the Immortal Emperor is no small matter and will not be easy, but controlling the flow of time and space is not difficult for her. It will undoubtedly save a lot of time and allow her to deal with unexpected events. Before that, Zia Jiao went to see Su Qingsu first. "Jiao, you're finally back." Su Qingsu was still not used to Zia Jiao's frequent absence from the Jidao Imperial Palace. Zia Jiao smiled and said, "Well, I've gained some insights from my recent retreat. Now that I'm back, I can push my realm." Upon hearing this, Su Qingsu's gossipy eyes cleared a bit. She had thought Zia Jiao was up to something, but it turned out to be just a breakthrough. Breakthrough in cultivation. "So Jiao, you can reach the second level of Immortal Emperor." After realizing what was happening, he was also extremely surprised. Zia Jiao nodded. "That's right, so I came to tell you something before I go into seclusion." "Explain things." That's a pity. I also have things to do during the time you were in seclusion. I can't watch you and accompany you until you become stronger, Su Kingsu said with regret. Kingsu, what's up? I received a message from my family asking me to go back to the Su family. I don't know what's going on, but I think there are some troubles that need me to deal with. Chapter 47. Destroying Emperor Jun's clone with one finger. Zia Jiao naturally knew that Su Kingsu came from the Su family of the ancient Xiao immortal realm. I didn't think much about it. I see, then you should go back to the Su family and take a look. When you return, you will surely see that I have reached the second level of the immortal emperor. So you are very confident? Su Kingsu blinked. Of course. Jiao, congratulations in advance. But how did you suddenly make a breakthrough? Su Kingsu suspected that there was something fishy going on here. Zia Jiao was used to it. Once I have gained some understanding, it will naturally come naturally. What's the difficulty? Since she didn't need to consider her husband's dignity here, she naturally told the truth. Then you are really amazing. Su Kingsu was extremely envious. It seemed that Jiao's talent was still against the sky. She could reach the second level of immortal emperor so quickly. This is also a good thing. He continued, after breaking through the realm, I'm afraid you'll take action against the desolate Emperor Palace, right? Thinking of this, her face became slightly solemn. If she failed, it would undoubtedly trigger the conflict between the Jidao Imperial Palace and the Huangdi Palace prematurely. Zia Jiao nodded seriously. To avoid any more trouble, I can't let others trample on my dignity all the time. Su Kingsu certainly understood, but she still pretended to be relaxed and teased. I think it's so that you can see your little husband and Yuan or Heir as soon as possible. After Zia Jiao's thoughts were exposed, she simply stopped denying it. Of course, it's definitely not for you. In fact, delaying time is also a good way to wait until she is strong enough. But the desolate Emperor Palace will not give them time. The deliberate involvement of Fucian Holy Land is proof of this. Therefore, sitting and waiting for death is not the best option. Tusk, that makes me so sad. Su Kingsu looked aggrieved and did not forget to roll her eyes at Zia Jiao. Zia Jiao had no choice but to roll her eyes as well. After a while of commotion, Su Kingsu finally said seriously, Jiao, I will try my best to return before you break through to the second level of the immortal emperor realm and help you. She didn't know what happened in the Su family, but she would know if she went back to take a look. She thought it wouldn't waste too much time. Zia Jiao understood what Su Kingsu meant, but she said, no, you can't help me, you will only make things worse. If you are not an immortal emperor, you cannot intervene, otherwise it will only become a flaw. Peak combat power is the key factor that determines success or failure. Although I know what's going on, I still feel very sad. Su Kingsu touched her chest, looking as if she hated herself for not living up to her expectations. But she knew that Zia Jiao was also trying to protect her. I can only blame her for being a bad person, Tilda. Hurry, Jiao, let me touch your conscience and see if it hurts. He reached out his hand. Zia Jiao immediately dodged when she saw this. This was not something Su Kingsu could touch. No, Tilda. Su Kingsu's face was filled with disappointment. It was all a mistake after all. By the way, Jiao, what do you want to tell me? Upon hearing this, Zia Jiao gave up her playful thoughts. Zhang said, if there is any accident during the operation, you can go to the place where I am in seclusion. Well, when the time comes, I'll leave my husband to Su Kingsu's care. After all, she and my husband have mentioned Su Kingsu. As long as Su Kingsu sees my husband, she will know what to do, and my husband will be able to trust Su Kingsu. Arrange. Su Kingsu spat softly. What are you talking about? How could it fail? Why go there anyway? I always feel that there must be something fishy here. You'll know when you get there. Zia Jiao looked serious and obviously not joking. Seeing this, Su Kingsu nodded and said, okay. Although she said this, deep down she hoped that she would never have the chance to go there. And Zia Jiao was relieved. After, Zia Jiao went into seclusion to reach a new level. Su Kingsu also stood up and returned to the Su family. A few days passed. Daijun had followed Zia Jiao's traces and found a secret place. Along the way, his intuition of finding Zia Jiao's fatal weakness became stronger and stronger. In order to find this weakness, he explored it carefully, fearing to miss any loophole, and thus wasted a lot of time. But as long as the result satisfies him, wasting a little time is not a big deal. Finally, he followed the clues and found this place. Now, Daijun looked at the secret place in front of him, with some excitement hidden in his expression. There's a powerful barrier set up here. If anyone other than Leng Jiushuang could have done something like this, it must have been Zia Jiao. This proves that this might be Zia Jiao's retreat. because Leng Jiushuang has never appeared from here, but Zia Jiao may have left from here, which means that he is very close to finding Zia Jiao's weakness. Daijun smiled. Although there was no concrete harvest yet, he finally had some clues. Zia Jiao is too young after all. He accidentally discovered the place where I could stay. I'm afraid Zia Jiao would never have thought that he, the master of the desolate Emperor Palace, would take action personally. If we rashly touch the barrier, Zia Jiao will definitely notice it. Then we will alert the enemy and the gain will outweigh the loss. Daijun thought calmly. If Leng Jiushuang was alarmed before achieving his goal, that would not be what he wanted to see. Perhaps it would be more reasonable to wait around here and wait for Zia Jiao to reveal her weakness. He didn't believe that Zia Jiao would not come back, but he couldn't be impatient and let everything go to waste. Thinking of this, Daijun sneered and was about to disappear. It was also at this time. A ray of light suddenly flashed across the barrier in the distance. The power that erupted was enough to make his heart palpitate. After being locked by this force, Daijun was horrified. He was discovered. How is that possible? He clearly didn't touch the barrier. Could it be that Leng Jiushuang left some tricks here? Then his heart sank. Exposing himself before achieving his goal would be like drawing water with a bamboo basket. If we fail this time, the Jidao Imperial Palace will definitely be on high alert, and we will have even less chance. But he didn't have time to think about it, and could only respond quickly. Terrifying power erupted from him, and a ray of light flashed by. But he still overestimated his own strength. He wanted to resist, but found that it was just a desperate struggle. Boom! Under the absolute power suppression, Daijun's powerful clone turned into ashes in an instant. Even he hadn't expected that he would be shattered so easily and quickly. After calming down, a figure appeared here. It turned out to be Chen Junai, a good family man who took care of the household for his wife. Of course, it was he who took action just now, using the barrier set up by his wife to unleash the power of one finger. Sure enough, he came here for Madame. Fortunately, he was careful not to follow his wife directly. Otherwise, the lady's home would be robbed, which would disturb their love relationship. He had long realized that the other party was the clone of a certain immortal emperor. The other party's appearance was strange, and the cause and effect of his wife might also involve the top immortal sect, so he made such a guess. Facts have proved that he guessed right. The lady will definitely praise him when she comes back. As for the other party's purpose of appearing here, it is not difficult to understand. To find Madame's weakness, Chen Junai smiled slightly. Then it became cold. Unfortunately, I am indeed your weakness, but it is a weakness you cannot afford to offend. After casually dealing with this incident, Chen Jun headed to the Jidao Imperial Palace to continue following his wife. Chapter 48, Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao launch a surprise attack. In the palace of the desolate emperor, Daijun opened his eyes and a violent force was released, flashing with golden light. This was followed by a muffled groan. His clone carries part of his spiritual will. If the clone is destroyed, his own spiritual will also be affected. This impact is not big, but it is not small either. Who on earth is it? Daijun growled unwillingly. He had finally found a clue and was about to find Zia Jiao's weakness. But in just a short time, a single encounter destroyed all his plans. So many days were wasted before we even had time to start implementing it. Zia Jiao is definitely not capable of such power. Could it be Leng Jiushuang who did it? Although his clone was far inferior to his original body, it was definitely not something Zia Jiao could shake. But even so, it was still shattered in one encounter. Apart from this, the only possibility is Leng Jiushuang. It must be Leng Jiushuang who used some means to protect him and tampered with the barrier. Otherwise, Leng Jiushuang wouldn't have been able to detect him so easily in the Jidao Imperial Palace, not to mention easily crushing his clone. Leng Jiushuang, Daijun's blood boiled with anger. Losing a clone for no apparent reason is like throwing stones into the water. How can I feel comfortable when my goal hasn't been achieved? He used his clone to go to the Jishiandao immortal realm because he was afraid that something might happen when his real body arrived, leaving him with something to hold against him. Unexpectedly, the accident still happened. In this case, Leng Jiushuang will definitely notice something and become more vigilant. Then it will be even more difficult to take action against Zia Jiao. Daijun took a deep breath. I thought that if he did it himself, everything would be foolproof, but I didn't expect that I would miscalculate. The loss was even greater, which was a humiliation for him. Leng Jiushuang, you'd better not force me to go that far. He had already missed a good opportunity, and there wouldn't be another good one. He could only wait and see what happened with Bai Yuan. If Bai Yuan's side doesn't work either, then there's only one way left. Take Zia Jiao by force. Otherwise, if they continue to delay, it will be even more disadvantageous to them. It was at this time that he heard a voice transmission. Dijun, get out here. Daijun's face turned furious. Leng Jiushuang. It's definitely her. She's the one who transmitted the message through the protective formation of the desolate Emperor Palace. And with such a tone, she's not a good person. This is completely disrespectful to him as the palace master. But why is she here? Even if you knew that he went to the Jishiandao immortal realm and his clone was destroyed, you shouldn't come and question him so soon, right? Could it be that Leng Jiushuang had already guessed that he would do this and had taken precautions in advance? Perhaps she had even taken advantage of the moment when his spirit and will were traumatized to make things difficult for him. Daijun thought with a rather unhappy expression. Anyway, you'll know after you see him. Now that we're in his territory, how could he, the owner, hide away? Daijun then disappeared into the hall. The next moment, he appeared outside the Huang Emperor Palace. Looking at the two figures, he asked coldly, Leng Jiushuang, what do you mean? When Daijun found that Zia Jia was also there, he narrowed his eyes slightly. They couldn't possibly want to beat him up directly, right? Leng Jiushuang's face was cold, and he attacked without saying a word. Leng Mo said, what do you mean? Of course it's revenge. At this point, of course, there's no point in wasting time. They're here for a surprise attack today, to take them by surprise. They're specifically waiting for Zia Jiao to successfully break through to her realm, and luckily, she did. If you can achieve your goal as soon as possible right now, just stop immediately. Otherwise, if they missed this opportunity, the desolate Emperor Palace would definitely turn against them completely. Therefore, the Jidao Imperial Palace would inevitably be under greater pressure. This was their only chance. The power of the immortal emperor was released, and a cold ice-blue light suddenly appeared, penetrating the sky. It can be said that this power can be seen everywhere. Zia Jiao looked on coldly. Without Bai Yuan coming out, she couldn't easily intervene because her strength wouldn't allow it. Her main task was to contain Bai Yuan. If she could kill him secretly, that would be even better. During these days, she successfully broke through to the second level of the immortal emperor in a space where the flow rate of time and space was 100 times faster, and then she acted according to the original plan. Seeing this, Daijun's face also turned cold. He really came to hit him directly. He was really brave. Leng Jiushuang, does the Jidao Imperial Palace want to start a war with my Huangdi Palace? Previously, the demise of his clone had some impact on him. Although it was in his territory, it would undoubtedly be more troublesome to deal with Leng Jiushuang. He thought Leng Jiushuang was here to question him about this matter, but he didn't expect her to attack him directly without any explanation. How unreasonable. It is the Huang Emperor Palace that wants to go to war with my Jidao Imperial Palace. Leng Jiushuang shouted angrily and showed no mercy. From the moment Bai Yuan attacked Zia Jiao, it meant that the Huangdi Palace had declared war on their Jidao Imperial Palace. It's just that neither of them wants to go this far, but because of the appearance of Fuxian Holy Land and the pressure from the Emperor Huang Palace, they have no choice but to fight. Otherwise, you will just sit there and wait for death. In that case, I don't need to show mercy. Daijun's eyes flashed, and facing the naked provocation, his temper also rose. It can also be seen from this that, after the Jidao Imperial Palace knew that he had taken action, they were forced into a corner and decided to go all out, and did not want Zia Jiao to marry Bai Yuan. Now that they have come to our door, we have no choice but to fight. Then he immediately went to meet him. A golden light opened up the void. However, the trauma to his mental will caused by the death of his clone just now made him dazed for a while. Not good. He suddenly realized that Leng Jiushuang must have known that his clone was destroyed and his real body was affected, so he seized the opportunity to make things difficult for him. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that they came to kill us? This is taking advantage of someone's misfortune. How outrageous. Boom! The clash between the immortal emperors shook the heaven and earth, but Daijun was clearly at a disadvantage. Leng Jiushuang noticed this keenly and attacked again without taking a breath. Daijun, your mental will has been damaged. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect them to arrive at the perfect time. I didn't expect Daijun to be traumatized for some reason. God really helps me. If before, she had a 50% chance of achieving her goal, now the probability has increased to 70%. As long as they could severely injure the palace master, Dijun, the entire desolate Emperor Palace would be affected, and thus fall. This would not pose much of a threat to their Jidao imperial palace, and would also buy Zia Jiao enough time to grow. When Dai Jun saw this, he suddenly felt something was wrong. Listening to Leng Jushuang's words, it seems that she doesn't know about the death of his clone. Could it be that everything is really a coincidence? Or is Leng Jushuang pretending not to know? Leng Jushuang, why bother asking when you already know the answer? By now, he also understood Leng Jushuang's intention. He wanted to take the initiative to attack and injure him before Fusion Holy Land intervened. As long as he is injured, even if the two major immortal sects completely turn against each other, the Huangdi Palace will eventually be at a disadvantage. At that time, it will have to think twice before dealing with the Jidao Imperial Palace, not to mention the marriage issue, which will naturally be resolved. But this is a risky move. After all, he and Leng Jushuang are equally strong, and he may hurt Leng Jushuang, then Leng Jushuang's intention will only backfire. But now, after the destruction of his clone, this balance has obviously been broken and is not in his favor. Asking despite knowing the answer, this puzzled Leng Jushuang. What did she mean by asking despite knowing the answer? What could she possibly know? But she was too lazy to think about why Dai Jun said that, and just thought it was a temporary excuse for Dai Jun to delay time. I just want to take over Dijin as soon as possible. Emperor Jun's spirit and will were damaged. Zia Jiao felt that the palace master was reminding her. Without saying a word, he picked up his sword and killed him. This is a great opportunity. It doesn't matter whether Bai Yuan appears or not. As long as they can hurt Dai Jun, they can achieve their goal and escape unscathed. If I miss this good opportunity to deal with Bai Yuan, it would not be worth it and I would put myself in danger. But what was the point of asking even though she knew the answer? Was there some hidden secret that she didn't know? When Dai Jun saw that Leng Jushuang didn't answer him, he became even more uncertain for a moment. Then Zia Jiao also attacked him. Her face was extremely gloomy. Leng Jushuang, our Huangdi Palace is sincere in the matter of marriage. Why would we resort to war? Chapter 49. Trauma Emperor Jun escape after the fight. Emperor Jun began to delay time because the emperor's son Bai Yuan was not in the Emperor Huang's palace. He had gone to deal with the Su family. And now, although Zia Jiao is not a big threat to him, she is still a trouble after all. Because Zia Jiao alone is enough to stop all the immortals in the Huangdi Palace. If Leng Jushuang continues to involve him, he will be too busy to handle everything. And everything originated from the matter between Bai Yuan and Zia Jiao, so it can only be delayed like this. Boom, boom, boom. At the same time, Dai Jun could only defend himself. Otherwise, if he revealed a flaw, Leng Jushuang and the others might succeed. What a sincere heart, Leng Jushuang sneered. Then my Jidao Imperial Palace can't afford it. Today, my Jidao Imperial Palace will give you, the desolate Imperial Palace, an answer. I will never agree to marriage, even if it means going to war. Not to mention the previous grudges due to Bai Yuan, Zia Jiao would never agree. Just look at Zia Jiao herself now. She has been taken advantage of by a pig, a mortal. There are 2 kids. How can I marry again? So from the very beginning they had no choice. This was the only way to go, and as the palace master she had no choice. That's why we have everything now. When Zia Jiao heard this, her face turned angry. He said coldly, I will personally seek revenge on Bai Yuan. As for the marriage, that's ridiculous. Coming here today is to prove my will. After saying that, he even made a sound of poo. Dai Jun's face changed. Zia Jiao dared to talk to him like that. He coldly questioned, it's just a misunderstanding. Why are you being so aggressive? Besides, how can I, the Emperor of the Desolate Palace, not be worthy of you? It was obvious that Zia Jiao was still holding a grudge against Bai Yuan for what he had done in the past. Otherwise, on the surface, they seemed to be a perfect match. If Zia Jiao was willing to give in, why would Leng Jushuang do this? Or what if Leng Jushuang firmly agrees to the marriage, and Zia Jiao disagrees? What a misunderstanding. Such despicable behavior can be justified? Zia Jiao started to get angry. That's because my Jidao Imperial Palace is not despicable enough, and is not worthy of your Huangdi Palace. Bai Yuan, I will kill him. After saying that, Leng Jushuang and Zia Jiao's attacks became more fierce. This is not the time to talk about a fair one-on-one duel. Dai Jun was scolded by Zia Jiao, and his face became even uglier. How could Zia Jiao have the right to talk to him like that? He has a pretty bad temper. If it weren't for Leng Jushuang's protection, Zia Jiao would have no choice at all. She could only marry, not to mention talking to him like that. Since you won't give in, then I won't have to show any mercy. To break the current situation, just capture Zia Jiao. All kinds of means were used, and a powerful formation descended, covering them both. Suddenly, Daijun sensed Zia Jiao's breath and was slightly surprised. Second level of Immortal Emperor. Zia Jiao actually broke through the realm. This growth rate made him even more determined to take down Zia Jiao. Otherwise, if he didn't fight now, there would still be a battle in the future. Bai Yuan might even be wiped out by her. Leng Jiushuang had naturally seen through Dai Jun's intentions, and she had been prepared. But after all, they are also two immortal emperors. It would be difficult for Emperor Jun to capture Zia Jiao. Break. Boom, boom, boom. Fight together again. The sky above the entire Huangdi Palace was dark and gloomy, and the space was buzzing with vibrations. Many powerful men in the Huangdi Palace were panicked for a moment, as if they were facing a great enemy. Not long. With the demise of the divine light, Dai Jun was finally forced to retreat. Not good. Even though it was his territory and he used the formation to help, he still couldn't stop Leng Jiushuang. The formation was shattered like a tornado. A terrifying sword light slashed towards him. Emperor Huang's sword? Emperor Jun immediately used his own magic weapon. For a moment, terrifying power filled the heaven and earth. Seeing the palace master restraining Dai Jun, Zia Jiao knew that even if Dai Jun was injured, the palace master would not be able to crush him in a short period of time. They did not have much time. Then she is the only one who can break the balance. Furthermore, Bai Yuan hadn't appeared at this point, which meant that he might not be in the desolate Emperor Palace. In this way, their unexpected attack was indeed very lucky. Then, he swung his sword and slashed towards Dai Jun's back. Dai Jun noticed Zia Jiao's actions and became furious. Zia Jiao actually attacked him by surprise. Leng Jiushuang naturally wouldn't let Dai Jun be distracted to deal with Zia Jiao. Your opponent is me. Want to be hit by her or by Zia Jiao, Dai Jun has only one choice. Boom! In the end, Dai Jun was struck by Zia Jiao's sword. Even though his power shield provided some protection, he was still shaken and retreated, vomiting blood. Seeing this, Leng Jiushuang immediately finished off the attack. Boom! Dai Jun was forced to defend himself, and then his blood surged. His body fell directly to the ground. Leng Jiushuang decisively reminded, Jiao, let's go. You have to run away after the fight. Furthermore, Dai Jun hasn't fought them to the death yet. Otherwise, if he attacks them recklessly, they will be in danger of being injured, and they won't achieve their goal. There's no need to force them to the point of burning their boats. Zia Jiao nodded. Only by taking the initiative to attack can the emperor be hurt. Because this is the Huangdi Palace, it is impossible for the emperor to give up his nest under pressure. Otherwise, if Dai Jun wanted to avoid fighting or escape in other places, they would not be able to injure him and achieve their goal. This time, their luck seemed to be ridiculously good, which meant that they would be under a lot less pressure later on. Then, the two of them disappeared in a flash. After Dai Jun realized his condition, he looked at the sky and roared. Leng Jiushuang, Zia Jiao, his face was extremely gloomy. They had already run away, and it was difficult for him to keep them. Although Zia Jiao is far less powerful than Leng Jiushuang, she is still an immortal emperor after all. The might of the sword had caused the power in his body to become disordered and injured, not to mention Leng Jiushuang's finishing blow. Without enough time, he was afraid that he would not be able to return to his peak state. After this incident, the hope of the desolate Emperor Palace seeking a marriage alliance to win over Zia Jiao became even slimmer. Dai Jun was so angry that he started shaking all over. And outside the Jidao Imperial Palace, Chen Junai has followed. He tried to lure Leng Jiushuang out to meet him. After a long while, he found no response. This time he was here to discuss serious matters, so it was not appropriate to just barge into the Jidao Imperial Palace. If Leng Jiushuang was in the Jidao Imperial Palace, he would have noticed something and come to meet me. Since she didn't show up, then she might not be in the Jidao Imperial Palace. Thinking about his wife's previous behavior, Chen Junai came back to his senses and his face was slightly solemn. They have already taken action. The lady must be following too. Finished, the lady following was lost. That guy before wasted some of his time. Chen Junai didn't know what their plan was, but he thought it would be extremely dangerous. As soon as his face turned cold, he was about to use the method of finding his wife. But at this moment, he suddenly sensed the presence of Leng Jiushuang. I was stunned for a moment. They are back. But where is the madam? Why isn't she with Leng Jiushuang? However, Leng Jiushuang might have also noticed him. Soon, I wonder why the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night came to my Jidao Imperial Palace. Chapter 50, Zia Jiao is eager to find her husband. It was Leng Jiushuang who showed up. At this moment, Leng Jiushuang stared at Chen Junai with vigilance and dissatisfaction. Because the immortal Emperor Yang had previously invaded her Jidao imperial palace and even yelled at her to get out. But I didn't dare show it. She and Zia Jiao had returned immediately after they had launched a surprise attack on the Huangdi palace. However, before they had time to be happy, they discovered that the great Buddha, the eternal night immortal emperor, had actually come to the Jishiandao immortal realm. How could she dare to neglect him? So she could only come to see him and see what the eternal night immortal emperor's intentions were. Otherwise, she didn't think that the elusive emperor of eternal night would just come to the temple for no reason. Chen Junai didn't see his wife and asked worriedly, "Palace master of the imperial palace, where is Zia Jiao?" Leng Jiushuang. She asked the immortal emperor of eternal night why he came, but the immortal emperor of eternal night asked her about Zia Jiao. Is this normal? Jiao left the Jidao imperial palace due to some matters. However, she didn't know what the eternal night immortal emperor was thinking, so she could only answer in agreement. Otherwise, she was afraid that she would accidentally anger this big Buddha, which would be much more difficult to deal with than Emperor Jun. As for Zia Jiao, after she came back to the Jishiandao immortal realm, she hurried back to her retreat place, saying that there were some uncertainties to deal with. As the palace master, she naturally didn't say much. So that's how it is. Upon hearing this, Chen Junai breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that his wife was fine. Moreover, he could also sense the fluctuations in Leng Jiushuang's aura, which clearly showed that she had just taken action not long ago. This meant that his wife must have also taken action. Is Zia Jiao injured? He continued to ask worriedly. As for the lady's departure, it is likely that she has returned to their secret hut. Leng Jiushuang couldn't do anything about it this time. What's going on? However, it seems that the immortal Emperor Eternal Night sensed the fluctuations in her breath and knew that they were fighting. He said cautiously, "Jiao is fine," but her expression turned strange. Could it be that the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night has also set his sights on Zia Jiao? Otherwise, why would he ask about Zia Jiao's situation without saying a word when he saw her? Why would he ask about her well-being? Oh my God! Being targeted by the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night, Zia Jiao, is simply unimaginable. Leng Jiushuang was already starting to panic, but she didn't dare to directly guess Chen Junai's intentions, so she could only answer honestly. That's good, Chen Junai smiled slightly. Although he didn't know what happened, it seemed that there was no big problem. He just needs to know the result. Then he got down to business. Palace Master of the Imperial Palace, I apologize for the offense caused by you. Here are some resources as compensation. As he spoke, Chen Junai handed over a storage magic device. It seems that Leng Jiushuang treats Zia Jiao very well. Otherwise, he would not be so polite to Leng Jiushuang. Leng Jiushuang looked at this storage magic weapon and didn't react for a moment. She naturally knew what Chen Junai was referring to when he said the previous events. But an apology? Did she hear it right? The immortal Emperor of Eternal Night actually apologized to their Jidao Imperial Palace. I never expected this. Could this be a betrothal gift given directly to Zia Jiao? Of course, she couldn't agree to that. He didn't answer. If the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night has something to say, why not just say it? She didn't dare to accept it until she figured out Chen Junai's real purpose. Chen Junai didn't care when he saw this. This matter has an impact on the Jidao Imperial Palace. Won't the palace master invite me to the palace for a discussion? Leng Jiushuang was not sure of Chen Junai's intentions, but she could sense that Chen Junai did not seem to have any hostility. After repeated consideration, he made a decision. Then please invite the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night into the palace for a chat. He absolutely could not offend the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night, so he could only go along with him. And since the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night offered it to him, there was no reason to refuse. As for the matter that affected their Jidao Imperial Palace, she didn't know what it was. But it is certain that the enemy that the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor mentioned before is not their Jidao Imperial Palace. Otherwise, he would not have such an attitude. Chen Junai nodded, then stepped into the Jidao Imperial Palace openly. In Zia Jiao's secret retreat, Zia Jiao ran back in a panic. She noticed that there was some movement in the barrier she had set up. So after returning from the sneak attack on the palace of the Emperor of Desolation, she didn't even have time to be happy or catch her breath, and immediately ran over. Husband! After searching everywhere and finding no trace of Chen Junai, Zia Jiao's face became extremely solemn. My husband is not here. I thought to myself that something was wrong and that my husband might have had an accident. Otherwise, why wouldn't it be here? Who is it? It is obvious that a strong man has been here, and my husband might have been captured because of this. But she had only been away for a while. Who could have targeted her? Zia Jiao was angry and extremely panicked at the same time. But she didn't lose her mind. Think about it calmly. Although the barrier was triggered, there are no signs of it being broken. This means that unless my husband leaves on his own initiative, no one can threaten him. Zia Jiao's breathing began to rise and fall. So it was my husband who left on his own. So dishonest, but it still made her breathe a sigh of relief. At least it proved that her husband was not taken away by force. But what exactly happened here? Zia Jiao couldn't understand. But there was no time to think about it. With such an accident happening and her husband leaving, she would inevitably be in danger without her protection. If she implicated her husband because of her, she couldn't even imagine the consequences. She couldn't forgive herself, and she couldn't give Yuaner and Hayar an explanation. Zia Jiao didn't dare to stay at all. Go look for Chen Zhanai immediately. At the same time, release your perception regardless of the consequences. The power of the immortal emperor burst out. At this moment, she no longer cares about so many things. Even if her husband knows her strength and identity, it doesn't matter. She can continue to fool her husband. Right now, she had only one belief, which was to see Chen Zhanai safe and sound immediately. I silently prayed in my heart. The child's father must be fine, the child's father must be fine. In the palace of Emperor Huang, Emperor Zhen was traumatized. It was impossible for him not to be angry. But now, Leng Jiushuang and the others had caught him off guard. This meant that the two major immortal sects had completely fallen out. There is no room for negotiation. This marriage is all bullshit. Since that's the case, I can only seek revenge by any means necessary. Dai Jun gasped for breath. It had been a long time since he had experienced such a huge emotional fluctuation. This time, not only did they lose an avatar, they were also injured, and they were beaten by someone who came to their door. Then, the desolate Emperor Palace will lose all its face. Leng Jiushuang, Zia Jiao, this revenge must be avenged. A mere Zia Jiao actually dared to hurt him. He simply couldn't swallow this insult. Bai Yuan rushed back and came to see him immediately after hearing about this. Upon learning that Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao had dared to launch a surprise attack on their desolate Emperor Palace, and even injured the Palace Master, his inner rage burned fiercely. Palace Master, the Su family has been taken over by me. Su Qingsu can't escape even if she goes back. Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao are unscrupulous and dare to attack my desolate Emperor Palace. They will definitely pay a heavy price. I'm going to the Jidao Imperial Palace. I don't believe they don't care about Su Qingsu's life or death. Chapter 51. Proposal of marriage changed to forced marriage. Bai Yuan clenched his fists in anger. He had never expected that Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao would dare to fight against their Huangdi Palace regardless of the consequences, and even risk their lives to launch a sneak attack. However, the resistance attitude of the Jidao Imperial Palace was stronger than he thought, which meant that they would rather fight to the death and turn against each other completely, angering their Huangdi Palace rather than form a marriage alliance. Is he, the Emperor's son, really so unbearable? Is he so unworthy of Zia Jiao and Leng Jiushuang's eyes? Not to mention that now that the Palace Master is injured, capturing Zia Jiao is even more of a distant prospect. This also means that Zia Jiao has enough time to grow, which will definitely be extremely disadvantageous to their desolate Emperor Palace in the future. Seeing this, Emperor Zhen shouted angrily, "If the enemy comes, we will stop them with soldiers. If the water comes, we will block it with earth. Now that it has already happened, we should find a way to deal with it. Why lose our composure? The Palace Master is right." Bai Yuan gritted his teeth unwillingly. "But Palace Master, can we just let this matter go? The majesty of the desolate Emperor Palace cannot be trampled upon by anyone. Of course, we can't just let it go like this." Dai Jun tried his best to stay calm and not lose his mind. "The Jidao Imperial Palace will definitely pay the price. But I'm traumatized now, and I can't do anything about them." Bai Yuan took a deep breath. "With your strength, how could Leng Jiushuang easily injure you? What can a mere Zia Jiao do to you?" When this matter was mentioned, Dai Jun was extremely unhappy. Under normal circumstances, Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao working together would have a hard time injuring me. But before this, my clone was shattered in the Jishiandao immortal realm, which affected my strength and gave them an opportunity to take advantage of me. "What?" Bai Yuan's face changed. Of course, he knew something about the palace master going to look for Zia Jiao's weakness. Could it be that Leng Jiushuang took action after noticing something, and then took the opportunity to attack our desolate emperor palace? Daijun shook his head. I don't know. I also suspect that Leng Jiushuang had already noticed it, and took advantage of the opportunity to attack my desolate emperor palace. But she doesn't seem to know about this. Daijun recalled Leng Jiushuang's attitude before, which still made him unsure. Bai Yuan speculated, could it be that there is someone else, then, who has such power? Although the palace master's clone was not as strong as the original, it was definitely not weak. But even so, it was still destroyed, giving Leng Jiushuang an opportunity to take advantage. But if it was someone else, then it's hard to imagine who would be willing to help the Jidao Imperial Palace. Daijun naturally thought of this as well, but he still said, I don't know. Maybe Leng Jiushuang is deliberately denying it and throwing out a smokescreen to make me wary and distract me. No matter what, even if someone else dares to attack me, they are also an enemy of the desolate Emperor Palace. Crush his clone, and he will become your enemy. Bai Yuan naturally knew that this was a possibility. It's all my fault that I wasn't in the desolate Emperor Palace. Otherwise, how could they succeed? It's conceivable that if he had been in the desolate Emperor Palace and could have shared some of the burden, the palace master wouldn't have been injured. Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao really knew how to find the time. It's not your fault. Daijun didn't care because Bai Yuan also had something to do. All we can say is that Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao were luckier. Bai Yuan was still unwilling to see his plans of the past few days disrupted. Then Palace Master, our plan. Of course it must be carried out, Daijun's eyes flashed. The more this is the case, the more we must enforce it. They think we'll give up, but we won't let them get their wish. We'll catch the Jidao Imperial Palace off guard. Hearing this, Bai Yuan's eyes heated up. Please tell me clearly, Palace Master. Forced marriage, Daijun said, looking at Bai Yuan. Since the marriage arrangement fails, then force the marriage. Didn't you say that the Su family is already under your control? Then use Su Kingsu to force them. We must achieve our goal no matter what. Daijun's will was extremely firm because they didn't have much better choice. Forced marriage. Bai Yuan obviously did not expect Daijun to have such an idea. Forced marriage is much more excessive than openly asking for marriage. The Jidao Emperor Palace was unwilling to arrange a marriage, and even risked their lives to launch a surprise attack. Forced marriage was obviously even more impossible. He began to doubt whether the Su family he controlled had the power to make the Jidao Imperial Palace bow down. That's right, Daijun nodded. Zia Jiao has already reached the second level of the immortal Emperor realm. If this continues, it will be even more disadvantageous to us, especially since her hatred for you has reached the point of no return. We can't give her too much time to grow. Since they're so desperate, we must also respond regardless of the consequences. We can catch them off guard. We can use the Su family to force a marriage. Let's gamble. We bet the Su family can make them compromise. He now needs to recover from his trauma, but he was unwilling to sit and wait for death, so he had no choice but to gamble. Otherwise, if he waited for everything to get out of control, it would be too late. He knew this truth very well. The second level of Immortal Emperor. Bai Yuan didn't expect Zia Jiao to break through the realm so quickly. No wonder the palace master made such a decision. It seemed he had no choice but to continue executing the plan and achieve his goal. Otherwise, with Zia Jiao's resentment towards him, everything might really get out of control. Then we can only gamble. Bet that Su Kingsu of the Su family can make Jidao Imperial Palace and Zia Jiao bow their heads. The risk is huge, but if it succeeds, the rewards are unimaginable. Thinking of this, Bai Yuan's eyes were determined. All right, Palace Master, I will prepare the betrothal gifts and go to the Jidao Imperial Palace to force Zia Jiao into marriage. Originally, the plan was for him, the prince, to personally go to the Jidao Imperial Palace to propose marriage after he had discovered Zia Jiao's weakness. This would appear more sincere, attract the attention of the Jidao Imperial Palace, and increase the chances of success. But now it had changed, and he was going to force the marriage in person. Bai Yuan didn't know whether he could win the bet, so he couldn't help feeling nervous. But if she could succeed, Zia Jiao would be hers. If she could help him cultivate, everything would fall apart on its own. So it seems that the Jidao Imperial Palace has succeeded temporarily. But in fact, it is not the end yet, and the outcome of this game is still unknown. This palace master will go with you, force a marriage to the Jidao Emperor Palace. Emperor Jun's eyes turned cold. Leng Jiushuang would definitely not have thought that he would dare to show up in person now, but this is exactly the effect he wanted. For the sake of the desolate Emperor Palace and the Emperor's son, he was taking a big gamble. He personally assigned Bai Yuan to take charge of the situation. This would undoubtedly put more pressure on the Jidao Imperial Palace, thereby increasing the chances of success. As long as he could succeed, he wouldn't have to worry about his own safety even if he was in a traumatic state. What could Leng Jushuang do to him? This is also a choice without choice. They have no choice. Also, notify Fusion Holy Land. Of course, the existence of Fusion Holy Land was another source of confidence for him. It would undoubtedly increase his chances of success, and it could also serve as a precaution against the existence that had previously destroyed his clone. Whether it was Leng Jushuang or not was not particularly important. Yes, Palace Master. Bai Yuan's eyes became fiery. With the Palace Master personally in charge, and with the help of the Fusion Holy Land, they will surely catch the Jidao Imperial Palace off guard. After turning around, Bai Yuan murmured, "Zia Jiao, you must be my woman." Seeing Bai Yuan leave, Dai Jun finally calmed down a lot. "Leng Jushuang, you forced me to do this." Chapter 52. My immortal emperor identity was discovered by my husband. My husband is not in the Chaosian immortal sect. In the Jishiandao immortal realm, Zia Jia was anxiously looking for Chen Zhanai. Searching everywhere, the immortal emperor's perception covered a large area, but he didn't detect any breath or trace of Chen Zhanai. She even thought that her husband might have gone to her sect, Chaosian Xianzong, but when she ran over, she still didn't see Chen Zhanai. How could this happen? Zia Jia was panicked. She searched everywhere she could except the Jidao Imperial Palace, but found no trace of him. Could it be that my husband went to the Jidao Imperial Palace? That was obviously impossible. Could it be that my husband has left the Jishiandao immortal realm? Thinking of this, Zia Jiao's expression changed. It is impossible for her husband to leave for no reason, and it is even more impossible for him to be so hard to find. In addition, there may have been some changes in her retreat place before. How can she not think so much? This is the only possibility. Zia Jiao's eyes were determined. Whoever dares to hurt my husband will be killed. She suspected that her husband had been kidnapped. Zia Jiao's mood became angry, which proved that she was starting to get angry. Exquisite immortal body. For a moment, the tremendous pressure of the immortal emperor burst out. Perception is released, covering the heaven and earth. Soon an extremely beautiful celestial phenomenon was formed, and it began to spread rapidly towards the surrounding fairyland. Think about it, the immortal emperor of eternal night was able to stir up trouble before. For the sake of her husband, she can also imitate the immortal emperor of eternal night. Although her power is far less terrifying than that of the eternal night immortal emperor, and she does not have the strength to offend the major top immortal sects, this is also the fastest way to find her husband. "Husband, where are you?" Zia Jiao murmured, overlooking the sky and the earth. "As long as my husband can sense the power of my exquisite immortal body, he will definitely respond." Chen Zhanai, who was in the Jidao Imperial Palace and was about to drink tea, suddenly realized that his wife seemed to be looking for him. "The tea in my hand no longer smells fragrant. Emperor Yang, if you have something important to tell me, it's better to tell me directly," Leng Jushuang said calmly. After ambush on Emperor Jun and achieving her goal, she was in a good mood. However, it was not appropriate for the immortal Emperor Yang to be here all the time. The Jidao Imperial Palace did not want to be too involved in his karma, otherwise there would be trouble. "I just want to see what Chen Zhanai's purpose is, and then quickly get rid of this big Buddha." But after she finished speaking, she found that Chen Zhanai ignored her. "The immortal Emperor of Eternal Night," Leng Jushuang frowned. "What do you mean? You came but didn't tell me." "Palace Master of the Imperial Palace, let's talk later. I have to go see my wife." Chen Zhanai didn't bother to think too much. He decisively released Leng Jushuang's pigeon and then disappeared immediately. "The sky is big, the earth is big, but my wife is the biggest." "Yes, my wife is really big." His wife was looking for him, so he had to go see the child's mother first to avoid worrying her. Leng Jushuang was stunned when she saw that Chen Zhanai had left. She looked at the teacup on the table and was stunned in the palace. After offending their Jidao Imperial Palace and telling them to get lost, the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor hurt her again. Her face turned cold. It was Chen Zhanai who had come to her on his own initiative. She had to put aside the past grudges and pretend nothing had happened before, inviting Chen Zhanai to the Jidao Imperial Palace for tea. But after he showed up, he didn't say a word, and just left. Leng Jushuang became unhappy again. How outrageous. He totally ignored her. He came and went as he pleased. What did he think of the Jidao Imperial Palace? but she had no solution or temper. What exactly does he want? She felt that Chen Junai was going to tell her something important. Otherwise, Chen Junai would not have come to the Jidao Imperial Palace to meet her in person. And she was indeed very curious and prepared. But just when they were about to find out, Chen Junai ran away without saying a word. It made her feel lost, etc. Madam, after realizing what was happening, Leng Jushuang was stunned for a moment. Did she hear it right? Go see the lady. The immortal Emperor of Eternal Night actually wanted to see his wife. Leng Jushuang seemed to know something huge. So, the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night is actually married. Leng Jushuang's pupils dilated, and she stared in the direction Chen Junai left with an expression of disbelief. Who could have thought that the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night would come back again and actually get married? Leng Jushuang took a deep breath. Of course, she had no say in this matter. She was just extremely surprised that the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor had become a slave to the lady. Even if he ignored her and didn't mention the big things, he still had to go see the lady. I give up. No wonder the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor's temperament changed drastically. So that's why. So he asked about Xiao not because he was interested in her. Leng Jushuang looked a little embarrassed when he thought of this. It scared her, but she was overthinking it. Fortunately, she did not say anything. Otherwise, it would have caused a disaster and provoked the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Not necessarily. Maybe he's just a scumbag whose temperament changes drastically because of his fickleness towards women. After all, no one can surpass the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. If he had 3 wives and 4 concubines, no one would be able to stop him either. No matter what the Immortal Emperor Yangai said is very likely related to Xiao. Her intuition. But what exactly could it be? She didn't remember that Xia Xiao had any acquaintance or connection with an existence like the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. For a moment, Leng Jushuang felt itchy and unbearable. As for whether the Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night would come back to continue telling her, she didn't know. Madam, after searching around Chaos and Xianzong for a long time, Chen Junai finally found his wife. The child's mother at this moment may be a little unfamiliar, but Chen Junai still had a smile on his face, because he was relieved to see that his wife was safe and sound. And the fact that his wife was so anxious to find him made him inexplicably happy. He wondered if he had some bad taste. Husband, Xia Xiao was stunned when she heard the voice. Afterwards, he didn't care about anything else, retracted the power of the immortal emperor, and pounced forward directly. Husband, where have you been? Seeing the child's father jumping around, she finally felt relieved. But where had her husband been hiding before? She hadn't even noticed. After all this hard work, it turned out to be right under her nose. Chen Junai held her in his arms, rubbed their faces together, and said teasingly, Madam, some changes happened before, so I went to the Jidao Imperial Palace. After all, the Chaosian Immortal sect has the Jidao Imperial Palace as its backing. This is what the lady said herself. Upon hearing this, Xia Xiao knew what Chen Junai was thinking. Her husband must have gone to the Jidao Imperial Palace for help because of this. This made her feel guilty. My dear, I'm glad you're okay. It feels like her identity, as the immortal emperor, can no longer be hidden. She also never expected that her husband would go to the Jidao Imperial Palace, which she had never suspected, her real hometown. I'm fine. I'm very happy that Madam is looking for me so anxiously. Chen Junai said his thoughts with a smile. My husband is so bad. Xia Xiao certainly knew this feeling. Her husband was deliberately teasing her, thinking that her husband could only tease her. It was quite pitiful, so she would definitely let her husband tease her. Just after she finished speaking, she suddenly found that her husband was rubbing her face and wanted to kiss her. So of course she had to cooperate, and then moved closer. The couple struggled for a long time before reluctantly separating their lips. Chen Junai stared at Xia Xiao, and suddenly a certain evil interest came to him. He said, Madam, tell the truth. You are very strong, aren't you? This made Xia Xiao feel guilty. It was over. Her strength had just been discovered by her husband. But she was so anxious at that time that she didn't care too much. Then she stared into Chen Junai's eyes and started to act coquettishly. Husband, I didn't mean it, Tilda. I know. Then, husband, I told you not to blame me and not to put pressure on yourself. Xia Xiao acted coquettishly. Chen Junai was very satisfied. Don't worry, madam, I have no pressure. Then my husband, what shall I tell you? Xia Xiao was a little skeptical, but she finally said coquettishly, My husband, I am actually the immortal emperor of the Jidao Imperial Palace. Her husband has already been to the Jidao Imperial Palace. Then she can no longer hide it. After saying this, She looked at her husband's face pitifully, hoping that after knowing her identity, he would not put pressure on her, would not feel inferior, and would not let his self-esteem be hurt by the fact that he was a gigolo. She was ready to comfort the child's father. Really, they could bear and face everything together. However, she found her husband kissing her hair, then her forehead, then moving down the bridge of her nose and finding her lips once again. They can only get entangled together again. What does my husband mean? Surely knowing her identity would only make him more excited. After a while, they separated. Chen Junai smiled. Madam, I know. Husband, do you know? Zia Jia was confused by the kiss. Her husband's kiss was decisive and domineering. It felt like she had no idea what was going on. Chen Junai was about to explain, but he noticed that his wife's expression changed. Also heard, husband, people from the desolate Emperor Palace went to the extreme Emperor Palace. Chapter 53, My husband, I have to go back to the Jidao Imperial Palace first. My traitorous husband, Chen Jun. Zia Jiao's pretty face suddenly became so solemn that she didn't seem so confused anymore. And this was the message she had just received from the palace master. She hadn't expected that the desolate Emperor Palace had already taken action at this time. Unexpectedly fast. It's easy to imagine that the desolate Emperor Palace's intention was to seek revenge, unwilling to be ambushed by them. But Emperor Jun was clearly injured by them, and he thought he could delay for a long time. And if the desolate Emperor Palace didn't have some confidence, how could they come here so quickly? Emperor Jun is not a fool. It even gave them the illusion that they were the winners and had no time to breathe, catching them off guard. What exactly could this confidence be? The matter was of grave importance, and Zia Jiao's heart sank slightly, a sense of foreboding welling up within her. The Emperor's palace? Chen Junai was a little unhappy. This thing actually interrupted the couple's confession at this time, and he probably understood that since the people from the desolate Emperor Palace went to the Jidao Imperial Palace, then the cause and effect of his wife must be related to the desolate Emperor Palace. As for the immortal Emperor clone that sneaked in earlier, hiding his identity, it was none other than the Lord of the desolate Emperor Palace, Emperor Jun. There seems to be no other possibility except him. From this, it can be seen that Leng Jushuang and his wife must have left the Jidao Imperial Palace earlier with the intention of attacking the Huangdi Palace. This means that the Huangdi Palace has come to them. Do you want to play turn-based game? Zia Jiao nodded. After all, she could no longer hide her identity as the immortal emperor of the Jidao Imperial Palace and had confessed it to her husband. So of course she could tell him about the affairs of the Jidao Imperial Palace. But then she suddenly realized that she should continue to fool her husband. She explained, My lord, there is simply a grudge between our Jidao Imperial Palace and the Huangdi Palace. This visit must be with ill intentions. No, she couldn't let her husband be exposed. Otherwise, he would become her weakness and soft spot and would be discovered by the desolate Emperor Palace. The consequences were unimaginable. Even if she could protect her husband personally, she couldn't guard against a sneak attack from the desolate Emperor Palace. How could her husband withstand the pressure? Chen Jun, I felt a little cold inside, but he still had a smile on his face. Ordinary things cannot disturb the couple's love mood too much, even if they are from a top-level immortal sect. So recently his temperament has changed a lot, and he has become very Buddhist. He especially cherishes the time when the couple can be alone together without being disturbed by anyone. Madam, in that case, do you need help? Perhaps I can help you. But since they have been disturbed, it is time to get rid of this eyesore. It is confirmed that his enemy is the palace of the desolate emperor. I just hope that my wife can continue to date him like this and make up for the past. Zia Jia was slightly stunned. Could her husband help her? Was that true? Just think that her husband wants to share her worries. She pretended to smile casually. Husband, this is a feud between two major immortal sects. I can intervene, and the palace master will also have a way to deal with it. You don't have to pay attention to them. Madam, do you dislike me? Chen Junai asked back. Faced with her husband's teasing again, Zia Jiao felt that her husband still didn't know the seriousness of the matter. She said coquettishly, Husband, no, how could I possibly dislike you? I just want you to rest assured that I will be fine. I will definitely be able to handle everything. All right, my dear husband. I need to go back to the Jidao Imperial Palace first and meet up with the Huangdi Palace. She didn't have time to explain too much. After saying this, she held Chen Junai's face, stood on tiptoe and kissed Chen Junai's forehead affectionately, telling Chen Junai not to worry too much about her. She looked just like the Empress of the immortal realm, and her true immortal husband. Chen Junai was offended by his wife, but this should be his last bowl of soft rice. "Ma'am, do you really not need my help? We can handle it together, no matter how difficult or easy it is." As a young husband, he naturally had to control his attitude and ask his wife's opinion. Easy, it wouldn't be easy, but Zia Jiao felt that she couldn't put too much pressure on her husband. "Husband, wait for me obediently, I will be back soon." After she finished speaking, she blinked playfully and added, "My dear, I like the feeling of you kissing me without any distance after you know my identity." She had thought the child's father would feel pressured and his self-esteem would be severely damaged, but she found out that the child's father had no idea at all. He just grabbed her, the wife of the immortal emperor, and ravaged her lips, and even seemed very excited. This shows that the child's father is strong-willed and has some confidence in facing her, the mother of the immortal emperor child, and will not feel distant or unfamiliar with her and bring disharmony to their small family. Chen Junai was offended by his wife again. As expected, his wife felt that he was under a lot of pressure and had low self-esteem. He laughed and said, "Madam, are you showing off to me?" "Husband, don't overthink it." Zia Jiao definitely didn't admit it, and then continued, "Husband, wait for me to come back and then continue to explain to me." She wondered what her husband had just known, but she couldn't think about it anymore. "No matter what, we must first repel the threat from the desolate Emperor Palace." After saying that, Zia Jiao left. With a cold and indifferent air, she naturally couldn't bring her emotions to her husband. She had to keep household matters separate from palace matters. And when dealing with the desolate Emperor Palace, she absolutely couldn't be careless. Not to mention that the two major sects have now completely fallen out with each other, and the relationship is one of life and death. No matter how confident the Huangdi Palace is this time, the Jidao Imperial Palace must stop it. There is no second choice. Chen Junai watched his wife leave and murmured, "Madam, I hope you will do the same to me." Then he smiled lightly, "Explain." Perhaps there's no need to explain. Originally, he needed to explain the situation honestly so that the couple could focus on their household affairs. Unexpectedly, this accident happened, interrupting their work, so there was really no need to explain, just seeing is believing. Just deal with them together. It's futile for Emperor Huang's palace to have any confidence. He was naturally aware of the game between the top immortal sects. It would not work without some confidence. Not to mention that the Huangdi Palace had been given a big fight by Leng Jushuang and his wife before, and it seemed that it had suffered a setback, but the Huangdi Palace was able to fight back so quickly. It would be abnormal if they didn't have the confidence. Dai Jun is not a fool. Of course, Chen Junai chose to listen to his wife obediently, and then followed his wife very honestly. Although he may be obedient, he still has a rebellious nature. The magnificent and majestic imperial palace. What is happening now is similar to what happened in the Huangdi Palace before. The enemy came to my door. Again, it was all unexpected. It really is the law of karma. At this time, Palace Master Leng Jushuang and Dai Jun and others were facing each other in mid-air, their expressions extremely solemn. It's not that she felt guilty, but she was not sure what confidence Dai Jun had to catch them off guard so quickly. This surprised her greatly, and she had never expected it. She had thought that Dai Jun would behave himself for a long time after being humiliated, but this situation made her feel uneasy. Could it be that it's just because of St. Lord Fusion? Impossible, this isn't enough. There must be something else going on. He asked in a cold voice, "Dai Jun, Zhan Qingshan, what is your intention in coming to my Jidao Imperial Palace?" It wasn't long since I had just sent away the giant Buddha, the eternal night immortal emperor, and I didn't expect such trouble to come again. As the palace master, it's impossible for me not to feel pressured. She has already informed Zia Jiao, and believes that Zia Jiao will be back soon. Dai Jun and others were not in a hurry. Not saying anything was the greatest oppression to Leng Jushuang. He spoke at the right time. "Leng Jushuang, you previously attacked my desolate emperor palace and injured my palace master. Could it be that you have forgotten?" Chapter 54, Forced Marriage. The confidence of the desolate Emperor Palace. Dai Jun was very unhappy, but he did not show much anger. After all, they have serious business this time. Humph, he wants to see how Leng Jushuang responds. As long as I force Zia Jiao to marry me, I can achieve my goal and avenge all the previous hatred. Why worry about the present? Bai Yuan stood aside, searching for Zia Jiao, but found that she was not in the Jidao Imperial Palace. Could it be that, like him before, she had left due to some business? This was not a good thing for them. After all, their target was Zia Jiao herself. The handle on the Su family would be more lethal to Zia Jiao. Of course, Fuxian Saint Jan Qingshan was taking this opportunity to put pressure on Jidao Imperial Palace and redeem himself. He hadn't expected the conflict between the desolate Imperial Palace and Jidao Imperial Palace to escalate to such an extent, with Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao even coming to the palace to injure Emperor Jun. This was not what he wanted to see. So when Dai Jun asked for help, he would naturally give him some face and even leave a favor. Heard, Leng Jiushuang said calmly. Of course I haven't forgotten. My Jidao Imperial Palace is not like your Huangdi Palace that dares not admit its actions. But what if I hurt you? After being scolded by Leng Jiushuang, Dai Jun's face turned angry, and he really didn't let this matter go. HMPH, since you admit it, then my desolate Emperor Palace will naturally not let this go. If you have something to say, just say it. If not, get out of here immediately. Leng Jiushuang was not in a good mood either. I was originally in a good mood, but after being tricked by the eternal night immortal emperor and the current accident, my mood suddenly sank to the bottom. If she hadn't been wary of what tricks Dai Jun and the others might have up their sleeves, she would have just sent them away. Dai Jun admitted that he had never had the upper hand in words with Leng Jiushuang. Jan Qingshan snorted coldly. I didn't expect that the dignified palace master of the Imperial Palace would do such a shameful thing. Jan Qingshan, get out of here first, Leng Jiushuang cursed angrily. They had no choice but to launch a surprise attack on Emperor Huang's palace and injure Emperor Jun. So why would they need to explain to Jan Qingshan, an outsider? Jan Qingshan held back his breath. Dai Jun's eyes flashed, and in the blink of an eye he had a sneer on his face. Since the Jidao Imperial Palace doesn't welcome us, we won't ask for trouble. Leng Jiushuang, I'm here this time because my desolate Emperor Palace wants to propose marriage to the Jidao Imperial Palace. For Bai Yuan and Zia Jiao. He was not in a hurry either. The worst thing about this kind of game was exposing the means too quickly and directly. Not to mention that they were indeed gambling, and were not sure whether Leng Jiushuang and Zia Jiao would really bow down for Su Qingsu of the Su family. Get lost, Leng Jiushuang was furious. You, the desolate Emperor Palace, are shameless, but my Jidao Imperial Palace still has dignity. She thought Dai Jun was here to seek revenge, but she didn't expect that he still hadn't given up on Zia Jiao. The two major factions have completely fallen out and their stance is extremely clear. A marriage is simply impossible, but the desolate Emperor Palace is incredibly shameless. To achieve their goal, they'll do anything. It's more like forced marriage. How absurd. Leng Jiushuang, I'm afraid this is not up to you, Dai Jun said coldly. Bai Yuan was holding back his anger. The Jidao Imperial Palace had attacked them before, injured the palace master, and completely turned against them. Now they were still talking like this, so how could he feel comfortable? He pointed out the names. Leng Jiushuang, have Zia Jiao come to see me immediately. Today's marriage proposal isn't a negotiation. She has no choice. She can only follow me back to the desolate Emperor Palace. At this point, who cares about each other's face anymore? They just want to achieve their goals, that's all. However, he was also not sure whether Su Qingsu of the Su family had the power to make Zia Jiao bow her head. But it had come to this point, it was a gamble, and there was no room for retreat. Hearing this, Leng Jiushuang's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, they were prepared and confident. Otherwise, how could they dare to speak like this? This palace master wants to see how our Jidao Imperial Palace can be controlled. The early bird catches the worm. He grabbed Bai Yuan directly and said, how dare you, a mere prince, speak to this palace master like that? A terrifying, murderous intent erupted from Leng Jiushuang, showing no sign of courtesy. He wanted to take away disciples of the Jidao Imperial Palace for marriage, and yet he still had this attitude. How can this be tolerated? Leng Jiushuang, you dare? Dai Jun's face changed, and he immediately protected her. Jan Qingshan naturally couldn't just stand by and do nothing, so he took action to block Leng Jiushuang. Boom, boom, boom. For a moment, the power of the immortal emperor spread everywhere. Seeing that Bai Yuan was not caught, Leng Jiushuang didn't care because this was expected. The Emperor Huang's palace is really unscrupulous. When they can't achieve their goal, they even resort to forced marriage. She was really angry. She was extremely angry. Being coerced was definitely not a pleasant feeling. She was particularly annoyed by the other party's confident attitude and unwillingness to speak. Bai Yuan was startled and trembled all over. But how could he be weak at this time? So what if I'm forced to marry you? Zia Jiao doesn't know what's good for her. Today I'm going to force her into marriage. I'm going to make her my woman. The will is extremely firm. Just wait as long as we capture Zia Jiao, everything will fall apart on its own. Then we can get revenge however we want. Bai Yuan, do you want to die? At this time, Zia Zhiao's voice came. It was she who arrived. Seeing this scene and hearing these words, the good mood she had previously been in with her husband began to explode with anger. She hadn't expected that the purpose of the desolate Emperor Palace coming here was still to form a marriage alliance, and to force her into marriage. Is it wrong to have an exquisite, immortal body? Zhiao. Leng Jushuang saw this and knew exactly how Zia Zhiao felt. But it was impossible to destroy Dai Jun and his men directly. Even if she and Zia Zhiao joined forces, they couldn't do it. She even began to resent Zia Zhiao's mortal husband. If it weren't for that mortal, how could Zia Zhiao have reached this point? Even his own woman was being targeted, and that mortal had no ability to deal with it. No, he wasn't qualified at all. Fate was really a trick. Dai Jun smiled. Zia Zhiao finally appeared. Zhan Qingshan continued to watch the development of the situation. If anything went wrong, he would definitely protect himself first. However, seeing that Dai Jun was so confident and they had a lot of people, he thought there would be no accidents and he felt very happy. When Bai Yuan saw Zia Zhiao, he laughed. Even though Zia Zhiao spoke to him like this, he was not angry because Zia Zhiao would soon be his woman. Zia Zhiao, you finally showed up. Today, you have no right to refuse, because you have to marry me even if you don't want to. Bai Yuan almost lost his composure because using the Linglong immortal body to restore himself, coupled with having experienced so many changes, had almost become his obsession. He must achieve his goal. Zia Zhiao, my Huangdi Palace has already prepared Bai Yuan's marriage gift, and my Huangdi Palace's prince is more than enough to match you. Dai Jun sneered and said deliberately. Zia Zhiao had spoken to him like that before. Now let's see if Zia Zhiao dares to do it again. Zia Zhiao was shaking with anger. He gritted his teeth and said angrily, don't even think about it. But facing these beings wanton insults and trampling, she felt only a deep sense of powerlessness. Her strength did not allow her to destroy them. Don't even think about it. Bai Yuan was not in a hurry and sneered. Today you have to agree even if you don't want to, unless you don't care about the Su family of Guxiao Immortal Realm, or Su Qingsu. When he said this, Bai Yuan was trembling all over because he was gambling, but he still maintained an attitude of being sure of winning. Despicable, Leng Jushuang was immediately furious. She had never expected that the desolate Emperor Palace had such confidence. It was her negligence. Su Qingsu and Zia Zhiao's relationship, and her importance to Zia Zhiao, it's really possible. He immediately looked at Zia Zhiao. Qingsu, Zia Zhiao trembled again. It turns out that the reason why the desolate Emperor Palace came here was the Su family, Su Qingsu. No wonder Su Qingsu suddenly returned to the Su family. Seeing Zia Zhiao's expression, Dai Jun smiled again. It looked like they had won the bet. Bai Yuan also became excited. It worked. It would be done soon. His eyes became extremely hot when he looked at Zia Zhiao. She was indeed very beautiful, with a beauty as graceful as a fairy, but this beauty was just an additional bonus compared to her exquisite fairy body. He continued to remind her, you should know. Su Qingsu has returned to the Su family. The entire Su family has been controlled by this prince, including Su Qingsu, so you should also know. What is your choice, right? However, he had just finished speaking. A terrifying pressure descended. Immediately afterwards, an unstoppable ray of light directly penetrated Bai Yuan's immortal body. The originally indestructible body of the immortal emperor was easily shattered at this moment, like brittle paper. Boom! Bai Yuan exploded and turned into ashes. Chapter 55, The Angry Eternal Night Emperor. Bai Yuan died peacefully. He didn't even have time to enjoy the joy of victory, or taste the fruits of victory. Even his expression, which had been filled with ecstasy and desire from beginning to end, hadn't changed at all. He hadn't felt any fear, nor had he felt the overwhelming murderous intent. Then he fell from heaven into hell. In other words, he is not qualified to face eternal night at all. But the angry Chen Junai knew that the immortal emperor had many methods, and could bring the dead back to life by leaving behind only a trace of his soul. Of course, he doesn't want to see it, and he won't see it. Almost at the same time, Chen Junai locked onto a fleeing immortal weapon. Extreme coldness filled his eyes. Eternal night descended at this moment, and endless darkness sealed off the entire Jishiandao immortal realm. Interestingly, eternal night represents the nature of darkness. Once upon a time, someone asked him why he didn't choose to embark on a more suitable path of magic. Then Chen Junai clenched his fist in the air, forming a giant palm of nothingness, and grabbed towards the immortal soldier. Bai Yuan's soul, Or is it the inherited power of the immortal Emperor Huangshan who wants to take Bai Yuan away? It doesn't matter anymore, because even if the immortal Emperor Huangshan jumped out of his coffin and came here in person, he would only die. The sudden scene caught everyone off guard and left them stunned, because the game between them did not really have an outcome, but a terrifying existence appeared and broke all the balance with great force. At this moment, everything seemed to slow down. They knew that this was a terrifying force that affected time and space. The silence in my ears is like the buzzing after a loud noise. It is quiet, too quiet, so quiet that it is suffocating. Dai Jun, who was staring at Zia Jiao waiting for an answer, froze in his expression. He turned around and found that Bai Yuan was gone. His whole body trembled, and he couldn't help but burst out in rage at this moment. Bai Yuan. Just when they were about to win, the Emperor's son had his immortal body shattered right before his eyes. But after discovering the figure coming, fear could not stop spreading in my heart. Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Jan Qingshan's face changed drastically. Why is the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night here? And why did he kill Bai Yuan? Thinking of a certain possibility, fear spread in his heart. Looking at the sudden killer, he couldn't stop trembling. This was not what he wanted, but he had no choice. The immortal Emperor of Eternal Night. Not to mention others, Leng Jushuang was stunned when he saw the familiar figure descending. She had personally received the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night before, but without a word, he went back to look for his wife. Why did he suddenly come back and stab Bai Yuan? Thinking of a possibility, could it be? Zia Jiao, who was threatened by Bai Yuan and struggling in pain, was completely confused at this moment. He no longer cared about Su Qingsu's life or death. Who cares whether Bai Yuan lives or dies? Staring blankly at the unstoppable familiar figure, his eyes, which had been quite firm originally, turned red at this moment. Husband? How could she not understand by now that her husband was actually the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night? I'm confused, really confused. I was so confused that I had no idea that the child's father was so scary and legendary. Confused, but also feeling more at ease than ever before. Don't be afraid, madam. Let me cut off this Tongshan Avenue. Chen Jun, I did not forget to comfort her. As for this great road to heaven, it was the karma that had occurred to madam. This karma had stopped madam's progress. Zia Jiao quickly nodded obediently. The immortal Emperor of Eternal Night. Husband. Among the fleeing immortal soldiers, even a wisp of Bai Yuan's soul was stunned. Fear began to spread like never before. Just when he was about to capture Zia Jiao, help him cultivate and return to the peak. But then the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night appeared and shattered his immortal body. He was gone without a trace. And if he hadn't kept some tricks up his sleeve, even that little bit of his will would have been completely annihilated by the angry Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. But who knew that Zia Jiao was actually the wife of the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night? No wonder Zia Jiao refused to agree to the marriage even at death. No wonder the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night returned and was able to return to his peak. It turned out to be the exquisite immortal body. That is to say, the enemy that the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor mentioned before is their desolate Emperor Palace. The person who shattered the Palace Master's clone was also the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night. Unfortunately, they found out too late. No, seeing that he could not escape, Bai Yuan roared unwillingly, causing the entire immortal weapon to emit a sharp buzzing sound. How could he be willing to perish at the hands of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor? But he found that all resistance was in vain, because the gap was too big. So big that there is no room for struggle. The endless darkness enveloped him, and the overwhelming oppressive feeling almost suffocated him and made him explode. Boom! The next moment, Chen Jun grasped the immortal weapon, and in an instant the immortal weapon was crushed into nothingness. Everything that belonged to Bai Yuan no longer existed. Husband, Zia Jiao's shout stunned everyone else. Their brain circuits formed a huge parabola, and they didn't come back to their senses for a long time, let alone care about Bai Yuan, who was slaughtered. Zia Jiao is actually the woman of the immortal Emperor Eternal Night. Zia Jiao actually clung to the thigh of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor. Zia Jiao is getting married. No wonder she would never agree to the marriage. They didn't think so when they went out, but the next moment, they found that Bai Yuan was completely destroyed, and the murderous intent of the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor descended again, locking onto them, and Emperor Jun was panicked. Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, this is a misunderstanding. I don't care about Bai Yuan's life or death anymore. Now I just want to curse Bai Yuan for provoking Zia Jiao for no reason. And now, how could he not understand that the irreconcilable enemy that Chen Junai had mentioned before turned out to be their desolate emperor palace? The eternal night immortal emperor returned to the immortal realm because of Xia Xiao's exquisite immortal body. Emperor Eternal Night, this is a misunderstanding. Zhan Qingshan also hurried to comfort Chen Junai. But inside he was furious. He had been completely screwed by Dai Jun. He was about to spit out blood. The wife who forced the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor to marry her must be tired of living. Who can stop the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor now? But as soon as they finished speaking, they found that the Eternal Night had completely enveloped them, and they naturally fell into the Eternal Night. Upon seeing this, Emperor Jun trembled with anger. After all, he is a veteran immortal emperor. Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, was the destruction of one of my clones not enough to quench your rage? After he finished speaking, he found that Chen Junai had gone even further. The endless night and the endless darkness made Chen Junai like the master of the night at this moment. Dai Jun and Zhan Qingshan suffered terribly from the horrible feeling of suffocation and the crushing of absolute power. It was inevitable to resist with all their strength, but they still could not stop the invading force which was shattering their bodies and souls. In the blink of an eye, they were riddled with holes. Husband, madam, mortal, Ling Jushuang remained silent as she watched Chen Junai beating up Dai Jun and Zhan Qingshan. It's true. The wife of the immortal Emperor Eternal Night is actually Xia Xiao. Xia Xiao actually clung to the thigh of the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night. Earlier, the immortal Emperor of Eternal Night suddenly ran off to find his wife, and it turned out to be Xia Xiao. The resource compensation and apology he offered turned out to be a betrothal gift. No wonder I felt something was wrong with Xia Xiao recently. It turns out she wasn't in seclusion, but having an affair. As for Xia Xiao's mortal husband, Yuan Hayar's father, he was actually the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor whose cultivation had dissipated. This mortal truly immortal, but the meaning he represents is too terrifying. So terrifying that she can still feel fear just looking at him now. No wonder the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor returned with a completely different disposition. Turns out it was because he was secretly dating Xia Xiao. It was because of that exquisite immortal body. Before, Chen Junai offended all the major immortal sects at all costs, in order to find Xia Xiao. I see. And the one who had damaged Dai Jun's soul and will before, giving them the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and injure Dai Jun again, was also Chen Junai. Chen Junai destroyed one of Dai Jun's clones. The details are unclear, but it is conceivable that he was almost ambushed by Dai Jun. Well, she now admitted that she had spoken a little loudly before, and shouldn't have said that Xia Xiao's mortal husband was disappointing. Xia Xiao watched all this quietly, without even having too many complicated thoughts. It just feels so dreamy. My husband is so strong. Chapter 56, Destroying the Three Emperors Without Saying a Word. The agony of the shattered immortal body and the excruciating pain of the annihilated soul made the ears scream with miserable cries. Dai Jun and Zhan Qingshan were completely scared because the immortal Emperor Eternal Night really wanted to kill them. But the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is too strong. The original Eternal Night Immortal Emperor had combat power similar to or even stronger than theirs. Not to mention that the Eternal Night Immortal Emperor is now at the peak level of the Immortal Emperor. If Juxian doesn't come out, who can be his equal? This is enough to make them despair. And when were they so miserable? Eternal Night Immortal Emperor, let us go. They were unwilling to die like this, so they could only lower their proud heads. But it is too difficult to escape from the Eternal Night. Otherwise, when the Demon Emperor invaded the fairy world, he would not have been suppressed in the Emperor's falling mountain after encountering Chen Junai, and he would not have been unable to escape back. Seeing this, Chen Junai said nothing and turned a deaf ear to it. He couldn't describe how angry he was at the moment. I just want to slaughter everything in sight and level the road. Maybe he was wrong. Then the lady wouldn't be insulted and trampled upon, or even forced into marriage. Maybe he was right. Because of his own selfish motives, just like his wife wouldn't confess directly to him for his sake, maybe they were both responsible. Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. Because in his eyes, it will definitely solve the cause and effect of his wife's problem. But he didn't expect that this cause and effect would make his anger so intense. It's been a long, long time since I've been this angry. Even when I left Qingshuan Dao sect, he let the howling in his ears slowly become quiet, still with his hands behind his back between heaven and earth. Such a terrible noise. It alarmed many powerful people in the Jidao Imperial Palace. They ran out with panic on their faces, as if facing a great enemy. It's him! It's him! Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor. I'm back again. Didn't they say that the strong men from the desolate Emperor Palace were coming to find the Palace Master? Why is it that the elusive Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor is here to attack us? Are you blind? Didn't you see that it was the Lord of the desolate Emperor Palace and the Lord of the Fuchsian Holy Land who were beaten? The Palace Master was just watching the fun from the side. The group of strong men were confused and bewildered, unable to understand the situation. However, this did not affect the horror and fear in their hearts. I wonder what the Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor is going to do. In addition, all the strong men in the entire Jishiandao immortal realm could sense such movements, and each of them had a solemn expression on their face, because anyone could feel the anger and murderous intent of the Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor, who appeared again. Time keeps flowing. The screams of pain gradually subsided. Dai Jun and Jan Qingshan were completely desperate. The most terrifying thing was that the Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor remained silent. The Immortal Emperor of Eternal Night will not let them go, even if they are top-level Immortal Emperors who can deal with the demons. It seems that such value is no longer worth mentioning in the eyes of the Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor. It is all for that woman, Zia Jiao. But then they felt a fist coming towards them. A simple, brutal, and unstoppable punch. His pupils were dilating wildly, but he couldn't speak, let alone resist. Boom! In an instant, Dai Jun Jan Qingshan was completely shattered. His soul was destroyed and nothing remained. Everything returned to calm. Leng Jiushuang fell silent again. He had destroyed 3 emperors in anger, but it was all for Zia Jiao. She would definitely support this marriage with both hands and feet. You have to know that it has been a long time since the immortal realm has seen the fall of an immortal emperor. Or rather, it has been a long time since such a huge loss. That's not right. Perhaps for the Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor, this can't be considered a loss. Husband? Zia Jiao stared blankly at the figure, the one who dominated everything with just a flick of his hand. Her husband at this moment might be a little strange, so strange that she couldn't believe it and couldn't believe it at all. I even hesitated about what to do and how to face it. Chen Junai smiled and said, "Madam, it's over. Then open your arms." He was not panicked even after killing the 3 emperors, but at this moment he felt a little nervous. Seeing this, Zia Jiao rushed over decisively. She hugged Chen Junai's waist and leaned her face against his chest. "Husband, it's over." At this moment, listening to her husband's heartbeat, she perhaps understood that her husband was the same as her. Chen Junai took the opportunity to hug her tightly, resting his chin on Zia Jiao's forehead. At this moment, he suddenly realized something. Seeing this, Leng Jiushuang could only turn the head away and not look. But he found a group of people staring at Chen Junai and Zia Jiao with stunned looks. He reminded her coldly, "What are you looking at? Go and deal with the follow-up matters." Upon hearing this, many powerful people in the imperial palace quickly dropped their jaws and walked away. Chen Junai stroked the long hair on the back of the child's mother. "Madam, remember what you told me before. I like this feeling too." Of course, Zia Jiao knew. After all, she had just talked to her husband about it not long ago. There is no distance, no strangeness, regardless of status or strength. Husband, you are not the Eternal Knight, Immortal Emperor. You are just my beloved husband. So even though they were strangers, she would still get along with her husband as before. She liked this feeling, and her husband must like it too. "Yes, my beloved wife." Chen Junai suddenly felt a little guilty. "Madam, will you blame me for not being honest with you? Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have put you through so much trouble." "Husband, I don't blame you. I'm glad you came. Besides, you don't blame me either," Zia Jiao comforted. This meant that she hadn't confessed her identity or the affairs of the desolate Emperor Palace to her husband. No matter what the reason, it was just that. But remembering how she had ravaged her husband for 7 days and 7 nights, she felt even more embarrassed. She didn't dare to look up and could only hide herself with her face flushed. "Madam, I don't blame you either." Chen Junai understood that feeling. In fact, he also hoped that no matter what the reason or what the difficulty, Madam would tell him, even though he was just a mortal. In fact, he himself didn't do it. Zia Jiao then said, "Husband, perhaps there is a lack of trust between us." "Madam, what do you mean? Think about it after what happened to you. Maybe you instinctively lack trust in everything. You're afraid that I'll know your identity and create a sense of strangeness and distance. For example, I'm afraid that if you knew everything, you'd put pressure on yourself, or even act impulsively and hurt yourself. Maybe we still need to grow up." "Madam, you're right. We still need to grow a little bit. But madam, how should we grow? Well, my dear, let's fall in love and make amends for the past. That's the best way to grow. Okay, madam, let's fall in love and make amends for the past. The couple looked at each other lovingly and wanted to kiss each other. Then their lips collided once more, entangled for a long time. But this time, the situation was different and the meaning was extraordinary. Leng Jiushuang didn't disturb them, nor did she want to ask too many questions at this time, but she really couldn't stand it anymore. How could they, the parents of 2 children, still act like this? A reminder, are you guys ignoring the Su family and Kingsu? Zia Jiao's eyes widened. Oh no, snow clearing. Chapter 57. Chen Junai destroys the 3 emperors in anger, shocking the world. After hearing Leng Jiushuang's reminder, Zia Jiao realized that she had almost forgotten about Su Kingsu. Husband, let's go to the ancient sky immortal realm. It's not her fault. She has been thinking about what her husband had said to her before. No wonder her husband said that, and no wonder she didn't let her husband run around, but her husband always rebelled against her. It turned out that this was her husband secretly reminding her, but unfortunately she didn't dare to think about it at all. Okay, Chen Jun, I didn't know what happened to Su Kingsu and the Su family, but now that Bai Yuan and Dai Jun were dead, he thought they wouldn't have any big problems. Then he looked at Leng Jiushuang and said, I'll trouble the palace master of the imperial palace with the rest of the matters. Leng Jiushuang didn't dare to speak loudly and smiled. Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor, don't worry. The accident came so suddenly, and Zia Jiao didn't expect that she would cling to the thigh of this big Buddha. Then the karma on Zia Jiao could be easily erased, and dealing with the desolate Emperor Palace and Fusion Holy Land would become very easy. Life is unpredictable. But Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor, I want to know why you came to my Jidao Imperial Palace before. She was still a little curious. Chen Jun, I said, for Jiao. Because I might cause you some trouble, I want to see your attitude, Palace Master of the Imperial Palace. Zia Jiao had become a little wife now, keeping quiet and not interrupting. However, her husband had indeed been to the Jidao Imperial Palace and met the Palace Master. Leng Jiushuang heard this and probably understood. This was something she had considered before, but now, it felt like she had no say at all. Because unless she cut off all ties with Zia Jiao, this was obviously impossible. Moreover, Zia Jiao brought back a powerful son-in-law from the Imperial Palace, and she felt that this investment was very worthwhile. I see. However, Immortal Emperor Yang, I can rest assured. Jiao is the immortal emperor that my Jidao Imperial Palace has devoted all its efforts to cultivate. For her, the entire Jidao Imperial Palace is her strongest backing, and my Jidao Imperial Palace is also willing to bear the consequences of your actions. Interestingly, it seems that their Jidao Imperial Palace is actually grateful to the Qingshuan Dao sect. Fate is truly unpredictable. Chen Junai nodded, okay. This feeling was like he was abducted by his wife back to the Jidao Imperial Palace. I'll have to trouble the Eternal Knight Immortal Emperor with Su Kingsu's matter, Leng Jiushuang said. Chen Junai bowed in response. Zia Jiao said, Palace Master, let's go. The situation was as if she had been abducted by her husband. After saying this, the couple was about to leave. Husband, you came to the Jidao Imperial Palace because you care too much about my feelings, right? Zia Jiao said impatiently. Otherwise, with my husband's strength, there would be no need to bother with the Palace Master. If she was abducted, I'm afraid the Palace Master wouldn't dare to speak loudly. Of course, Chen Jun, I would not deny it. Madam, I care about you, so I must care about everything about you. Zia Jiao looked like a happy little wife, nodding softly, feeling happy inside. Leng Jiushuang was offended. Here we go again. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. I didn't know how they turned out like this. It was so disgusting. But it was understandable. After all, Zia Jiao was the Eternal Knight Emperor's benefactor, his wife, and the mother of his 2 children. Add to that the years of separation and the intervening causal variables, and it would be anomalous for the Eternal Knight Emperor to not care about Zia Jiao. I'm just being a little cautious. In fact, there's no need to care about the feelings of the Palace Master. It's useless to care anyway. I had no choice when it came to Zia Jiao's affairs, and now I still have no choice when facing Chen Junai. Watching the couple gradually walk away, Leng Jiushuang began to look forward to seeing Yuaner and Heiyar. Such a child must be extremely outstanding. However, she seriously suspected that these unreliable parents might have forgotten about their 2 children. Daijun died, Bai Yuan died, and Jan Qingshan, who was just watching the fun, also died. For a time, it caused a huge storm in the entire fairy world. Because in the fairy world, it has been a long time since the fairy emperor fell. On the other hand, How easy is it to destroy an immortal emperor? But this time, 3 immortal emperors fell at once. It's simply horrifying. The loss to the fairy world is also too huge. This also means that the giant immortal sect, the desolate Emperor Palace, will inevitably decline and will no longer be at its peak. And the same is true for the Fuchsian Holy Land. It also means that the power of the 2 top fairy realms, the Desolate Heaven Fairy Realm and the Fuchsian Fairy Realm, will be greatly weakened, and thus be excluded from the ranks of the top fairy realms. It's hard to imagine what kind of terrifying existence has such power. After learning that it was the eternal night immortal emperor who did it, that's normal. I just don't know why the immortal emperor of eternal night was so angry that he was willing to destroy the 3 emperors. After the various great immortal emperors remembered the